It worked out well because like my season's been pretty rough, but even just having like the Gypsy Tales logo on the bike, like I had Lee Diffie and Carmichael, and they all came up and spoke to me, and no one's like, I've never had a media person basically in America come and speak to me, so that was pretty cool. So I ended up getting 8th in the heat race, and I remember being on the start line. I had to ask the two mechanics next to me to put my button in,
Yeah.
like my holster button, and they're like, "Where's your mechanic?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just here by myself chilling." So you can work as hard as you want, but I'm never going to be as good as Jett Lawrence. That is a freak.
I met a gypsy.
Yeah. This is pretty cool. I didn't realize you had such a setup here, studio.
Yeah, it's sick, eh?
Yeah, it's funny. I need to get this stuff to put on my walls at home just to really soundproof it so I can get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, dude, makes a difference. Well, we're rolling, mate. We'll just hook in. So yeah, Geran Stapleton joins us on the podcast on the Gypsy Tales gas.
It's pretty funny, isn't it? Anyone can have their anyone's got a price, I guess. I can have any logo on my bike, so
Yeah.
But it actually did look pretty sick with your logo.
Yeah, no, I can't. Good. So yeah, Geran run the Gypsy Tales on the weekend for us at Denver. To be fair, mate, I actually, and especially after the weekend, because like I didn't expect any TV. I didn't give a fuck. Like I wasn't doing it for any of it, you know. Like I feel like most people that watch Supercross like kind of know about the podcast, and so I was like, I just wanted to help you out, and then it was like you said, you didn't know you were going to come on the podcast after it too. So like I'd always wanted to have you on the show, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do this, and so I wanted it to go the way this has gone, but I wish we did it sooner, mate, because yeah, it turned out sick. Like people were stoked. My Instagram was blowing up all day, and then yeah, Lee Diffie shouted us out in the LCQ. He rode like a demon. So it just was. It was just a cool day.
It worked out well because like my season's been pretty rough, but even just having like the Gypsy Tales logo on the bike, like I had Lee Diffie and Carmichael, and then I can't remember the Race Day Live dude's name, but they all came up and spoke to me, and no one's like, I've never had a media person basically in America come and speak to me, so that was pretty cool. Come down in the tunnel and they spoke to me, and then I haven't had a chance to watch it. I watched a little bit of the LCQ last night, but yeah, apparently they mentioned me and I got a little bit of TV time, so worked out well for you.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and I had like like Garth Milan, who he got some photos. So Garth is the tall dude that was taken. Did you?
Yeah,
you
he came up and introduced himself.
Oh,
yeah,
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like one of my best mates. So me and him, I still talk to him. I mean, it's not as much as when I was there. Like, so when I was there and I was doing all the Red Bull filming, so he's like the Red Bull photographer. So he was in Miami the day before Supercross, doing like photos with Ricardo, doing his like boat race with Yuki Tsunoda. Then he gets straight on a plane, goes to Supercross. Like he's the fucking don of all photographers in action sports. And so when I was living over there, mate, he's fucking like probably one of the best dudes I know. And I was like young and doing all those video shoots, and he was always the photographer. So like it was even sick to like, I messaged him and I was like, hey, my mate Banger's running the logo on the bike, and then he got sick photos. So yeah, it was I was pretty pumped on it.
That's like like I said in the text with you, like that is one of the hardest things as a privateer, to get the like, I guess you could say, content or like photos to post on social media, because I guess a lot of the teams, they pay that align with us or whatever it is to go, like, because they go to each race and they get like have products and that, and companies pay for them to take photos. But I don't even know how to get that. I'm sure you could reach out and pay them each round.
Well, so Garth is Octopi Media, so it's him, Ryan Swanberg, and then I'm pretty sure there's one other guy. But I was thinking about it after you said that to me, And yeah, I think that's probably what I'll try and do for you next year. Because like if you go again next year, then I'll try and commit to like helping you with some of that sort of stuff. Because yeah, like I guess I didn't even really know what kind of makes a difference for you, you know.
Yeah, that is one of the things, because you've got like sponsors helping you, and then to like the Monday after the race, you're trying to find a photo, and I a lot of the time I'll go on the photographer Brown Dog Wilson. He usually has photos, and for some reason this year, just by luck, I guess, I haven't really had any photos on his website. So I was like, fuck, I need to try and find photos, and you're always trying to steal something from somewhere.
Yeah.
Not like without trying to piss people off, but yeah, it is a big thing to try and post because you have sponsors, but then to try and find it without having to pay someone on the day, I guess. It's quite hard.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all stuff that, like the average person, I just don't. I mean, even for me, like I kind of don't. You don't think about what it takes for someone like you to go racing, you know, and like I guess you don't really know what you've got sorted, what you don't have sorted. So it's kind of like, it was interesting for me even just to see, okay, this actually would help a dude out, you know.
Oh, 100%. Like even for the gas on the weekend, or I guess fuel, I've been in America too long, but for the van, like it was probably $300 or $400 on the way up, and then $300 or $400 on the way back, just in fuel to get to the race. So like any money with that, like you gave me a little bit, it helped for the weekend. And this year I've been trying to do it a little cheaper this year with hotels and stuff. So the night before the race, I'll always get a hotel.
Yeah.
But like this weekend, last weekend, the Wednesday and the Thursday night, I just slept in the van with my girlfriend, and it just makes it cheaper. But that's one thing in Australia, I feel like you can pull up at any servo and sleep or that. But in America, we've been moved along a few times, and everyone told me that Walmart was the
that's
place
where we used
sleep.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I tried that once and we got moved along. So the security guard came out and said we couldn't. But I think it was probably because it was around Oakland area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I guess in Australia we don't have the homeless problem that they have in America. And that's one of the things is trying to... So we've just been stopping at Love's travel stops, like the big servos on the road, and we just sleep there. And my van, I'm pretty lucky with my van. My mate that I bought it off, it's got like a wall and a bed, and the bed that came with the van, it's quite small. It's only about like a meter or like a couple feet wide. Yeah. So I just get 3 dirt bike stands and I put it next to the bed behind the seats in the front, and then I put a mattress from where I live, there was bunk beds, so I just took one of the mattresses and put it on top. And then, dude, it's sweet. Like I always have like
good
big problems with sleeping, and it's fine for me. So I just put some like towels up on the windows, and me and my girlfriend are fine. But I don't think she realized that that's what we were going to be doing when she signed up for the relationship. But she seems to be happy, so it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's something definitely cool about just, I don't know, doing it tough. Like, it's been funny, like me and my partner, like we were talking about the other day, because we've just done 4 months in Dubai, and before that we were just like living in Oz, and she's not from Oz, so she's just moved over there, and that she's trying to like figure out her life over there, whereas I'm fucking dialed. Like I got my studio, I got my place, I got my bikes, my cars, my mates, like everything's sweet and in the routine. And then we like moved over to Dubai together, and just both starting from the bottom together and going through so much just shit. Like we couldn't, when we first come here, it was just like peak season, man. And I think with like the war in Russia and Ukraine, so many people are moving here and shit. So like we couldn't find a place, man. We had to stay in like pretty much the ghetto. Like we ended up staying in like not like, it's not ghetto like American ghetto, but it's a lot of like immigrant construction workers and shit. And there's just like bus loads of dudes just getting dropped off, and just like the clotheslines hanging off the site. Like we were just fully slumming it. And
what made you go to Dubai? Like, just what was that choice?
I sort of just like, I wanted a bit of like a new challenge, you know, like sort of planning on getting back to the States. So I was going to be moving anyway. So it was just, I was kind of like just getting itchy feet. Like I kind of had a plan to go and get back to the States. Then once I kind of made my mind up that I was going to move, I was like, all right, well, I want to move. And I couldn't make the US thing happen straight away because I got to get the visa. And then all the, I came here for Formula One last year, and it was just like, there's so much motorsports going on here, man. You know, like it's just, there's MotoGP does their shit here. Then you got all the Formula One races. You got 24-hour stuff. All the Dakar guys are here. Dakar's in Saudi. So I was like, man, for a certain block of the year, this is like the busiest place for motorsports. And then it's only 6 hours to Europe from here, man. So like I did that Europe trip last year, and it was 23 hours or something to get there. And it just ruined me. And then you got to stay there for like 3 weeks to make it worth the trip. And then it ruins you when you get home. So it's like a trip to Europe from Oz is pretty much like a 2-week ordeal, basically. Sorry, like a month ordeal out of your life. And then I was like, well, I want to spend more time in Europe. So yeah, it was just a combination of things, eh? But I've actually like really enjoyed it, man. I've met some fucking good people over here. And then got to do that trip to Europe, was sick. But like to the point when I feel like when you're with your partner and you do something like kind of rough and hard and you're both in the same level and it sort of sucks. Like I think it actually makes your relationship like better, you know? Like I thought we were pretty dialed when we were back in Oz, but like nowadays, like we'd only just mentioned it because she just left back to Australia. And we're like, man, I actually just like, we've never been like better as a couple. I think it actually made us like way stronger.
Well, I think, like, from a guy's point of view, you kind of see what your chick is like in that situation.
Yeah.
And if she kicks up a stink with, like, for me, when we're traveling, we've figured out if you, like, because there's Planet Fitness is like,
yeah,
they're kind of, it's a consistent gym, like, it's kind of everywhere.
And they got showers and.
Yeah, so if you make a new email, you get 1 free day of training. So I'm just constantly making new emails, and we go there, and it's good because on like with the traveling to the races, you want to get like your hour of cardio or whatever in for the day. So we stop there. I do a little bit on the cycle, get a big stretch in, and then we shower, and then I'm like, let's keep going on the road. So she's been fully on board with all that stuff, and she's getting her cardio in, so I'm making sure she's still staying fit. And then we have a shower and get back on the road. So
yeah, what other like privateer travel hacks have you found over the years traveling in America?
Well, now that sort of I'm kind of a little bit set up here, I've got a microwave in the van, so I try and cook all the meals beforehand, and like not all the meals, I shouldn't say that, like at least 2, because when you think about on race day, unless you want to go have one of the food truck vendors and spend $50 on food, you can't eat well, and obviously I don't have catering or anything like that. But yeah, so I always try and have a little bit of rice and meat or whatever to take to the races. But you put me on the spot with that. Like, it's mainly just I try and get back after the races as soon as I can. Like on the weekend.
Yeah, you drove straight from Denver back home, right?
Well, I kind of screwed myself a little because after the race, by the time we packed up and left, it was about 12. And then I drove till 3, and I was like, I was trying to be responsible. I should have just kept driving straight through. So I slept till like for 3 hours or about 2.5 hours, and I ended up hitting the Vegas traffic on the way home. Dude, it just drew the whole trip out. And then so we got to bed like about 9 that night, which was fine. And then we had to be up at 10 to 5 yesterday because I was meant to be going Monday after Salt Lake to China to do a Supercross, and it just got postponed, but my passport was still at the embassy, so I had to go pick that up, and I was like, fuck, I better get that done early this week because we've got Salt Lake this weekend, and it's just going to get hectic trying to get everything ready, trying to fit it like a couple of days of riding, and then so yeah, this weekend I really screwed myself with the Vegas traffic, and then sleep-wise, I'm trying to catch up on sleep, but yeah, because it's tough because you need to get back so that you can prep the race bike for the next week, do graphics and all that, because that takes me kind of like a day by the time I wash it, and then oil, clutch, and take the graphic. The worst thing about the graphics is taking off.
Taking them
glue,
off. Yeah.
Dude. And at the moment with the living situation, we don't have power where I have to work on the bikes. So I just sit there when I do the graphics next to the generator with the heat gun. And during the start of the season, because it was like winter, it would rain a lot, and the generator isn't close enough. I didn't have a lead to get down to the undercover area. So I'm just sitting out and waiting for the breaks in the rain to do the graphics. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, if this is what I have to do to race, I'm doing it. I was like, SKDA is sending out all these sick graphics kits, and they're probably thinking, oh, he's just got someone putting them on. I'm just sitting out in the fucking rain, just trying to, but it's pretty funny.
Dude, it's almost a crime that you haven't been documenting all of this shit, because like, I just can imagine what you've been through over the last few years, eh?
Well, it's kind of funny. Like, I was talking with Roger at 7, and he was saying that we need to do like a video series, and that seems to be like the whole new thing. If you go on Track Walk this year, it
everyone, bro,
dude. And I'm not that type of person. Like, I really struggle with the social media stuff. If I wasn't racing and didn't have sponsors, I wouldn't have Instagram. So even on the weekend, the night before the race, like on the Friday night, I went to sleep and I realized I was like, far out. In the morning, I've got to wake up and I've got to hold a phone up here and say, hey everyone, like, welcome back to my channel. Like, we're on the yeah. And I've never held a phone up and spoke. Like, I feel like that anyone who does that, it's got to be like, you're the biggest wanker. Yeah. But I was like, nah, we have to do it. We're going to do this Gypsy Tales thing. And it honestly, once we got into the day and we're riding, and that I was just too busy. I just got Lucy to film whatever I needed to do when we got back to the van, like to update everyone. And then I was just like, I didn't even watch it. I was just like, just send it to him. Yeah. So that was fine. Like, but yeah, like Roger was saying, I need to probably do a video series or something, because it's not like you get the sort of the glamorous side of the Supercross or whatever, but the behind the scenes stuff of trying to get the bikes ready and even just putting motors in and out and stuff by myself, all that sort of stuff. It takes so much time, and I really just need, like, it would be cool to show people that.
Well, like, I think next year I'll definitely try and get some. I mean, I might even be over there for some of the Supercrosses next year, and we can actually actually film you doing it. But even I was thinking about it, like the guys at Verb would probably be perfect to do some stuff with you. But I mean, Roger's got because you're not like the top dude getting the top results, but you're doing Supercross in a way that not many people are doing it. You know, like it is even, like you look at Kevin Moran's, and it's like, he's a factory rider compared to you. You know what I mean?
It's so funny when you sort of, like, I don't think people, especially back home, understand that being a privateer over here, it's the majority of the privateers. And I'll never be like, oh, I'm hard done by type. I'm loving life. Like, this is the sickest thing ever. Yeah. But the majority of people, you go to the practice track, they all have mechanic or a trainer or anything like that, and it's not like that for me. I've got to do everything, and that, because it's not really an option. Like, if you worked out how much it would be to have a full-time mechanic and all that stuff, it's another $100,000 or whatever you're putting onto the year, and that's not an option. So a lot of the time with being at the practice tracks or that, with the riders will have trainers, and they'll start doing motos, and I hope that no one ever gets pissed off with this stuff, but if there's a riding group, like a Will Hahn riding group or a Carrie from Grindstone, they'll start their motos, and I just start like a lap behind, and then I'll just do one more lap at the end, and I'm just doing their program. Some of the best stories I have is with Yoda. Was like, he's not in California this year because he's out in South Carolina, but he had Randy Lawrence as his trainer, and Randy was awesome. Like, because I don't mind, like, I'm always a little bit slower than those guys, like a second or two or whatever, but I don't mind being the rabbit to go out and like for them to chase me down. So I got to do Randy Lawrence's program sort of majority last year when we were at the practice track with Yoda. And I'm just like, holy fuck, this guy's winning championships with McGrath back in 99 or whatever it was. And I'm just training with Randy. So it was pretty sweet.
Are they cool with you? Like they're all talking to you and being like, yeah, just fucking you go first.
Yeah. I try and like, not with like Will Hahn's group or whatever. They're always sort of, they got a big group and I haven't sort of spoken to them. But Randy was always sweet because the majority of the riding was out at like a private Supercross track. So like I'm good mates with Yoda and stuff like that. So I always would always just sort of jump in, and I'm not paying for it, but I'm sort of doing everything that they're doing, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, dude, that's so fucking cool. I think that one of it's like probably the thing that it's like the bad thing that you do is also like the awesome thing, because you're not doing it for clout. You're not doing it for Instagram. Like, you don't give a fuck about any of that stuff, which kind of sucks because it probably holds you back on like the sponsorship, financial side of it. But then on the other side, like, you just get to have so much fun. It's like no one's looking at you. No one's expecting all this shit that you got to like deliver. Like, you're literally racing Supercross in its most purest form. Like, you're just doing it because you want to.
It's almost to a problem now because I'm getting pretty old doing this, and it's like with the whole COVID thing, it's kind of extended it out a few years, and it took me so long to be able to get here. And then when I did get here, I never thought I'd still be doing it 3 years later or whatever. But I'm kind of like, holy shit, this has sort of worked out a little bit. I've set myself up over here, and this was meant to be the last year. And the way that it's gone and the stuff that happened sort of before the season that made it quite hard, I'm almost like, fuck, I've got to do it next year. And especially after the weekend with having people come up and with the Gypsy Tales on the bike and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck, I really should do it next year and try and do it better and get a little bit more support and have at least one more year of it. And the other reason it was going to be like the last year for me was my parents were going to come and watch a race. And then like, unfortunately my nan kind of got a little bit sick. So they haven't been able to come over, and I'm kind of sort of going to use it as an excuse now. I'm like, well, I better race next year. But at some point it's going to have to stop because my body is literally falling apart, but my mind is still like, dude, this is the sickest thing ever. I'm going to race Supercross until I'm 40. If I can afford, but I can't, dude. I'm like, I'll do 2 days of riding and I'm like, holy fuck, I can't even get out of bed now with my hip and my back and all that, because I just wish I hadn't had so many injuries when I was younger, because it's turned into now, like this whole Supercross season, touch wood, I've probably had 2 crashes in turns, and I don't really crash anymore. Whereas when I do crash, I just fall apart, and so all those injuries when I was younger have caught up to me. Like my back is just like I tried to sleep on the floor last night at home because my back was just so hurting so bad after sitting in the car for 15 hours and stuff like that. So I really do need to stop, but I'm having too much fun that I haven't really figured out. Yeah. Like everyone always says, you should be trying to figure out what you're doing. You should be building up to what you're going to do after racing. But I haven't figured that out. And I'm like, well, I just enjoy it way too much to stop. So we're going to basically run it till the wheels fall off. And I think that's honestly what's going to happen. Because when I finally got to go home last year and sort out my visa and everything like that, for the previous 2 years being here, I kept saying to my girlfriend, I need to go see the specialist about my hip when I get home. And I finally got to go see the specialist in June last year. And they basically said, yeah, there's nothing left in there, like cartilage-wise or anything. And he just said, you can get your hip replaced when you want to.
Wow.
And I'm just like, so, but you like, dude, when I'm naked, like when I'm sending nudes to my girlfriend, you can see my hip. It doesn't even sit in the socket properly anymore. I've got this big like tennis ball sized lump on the side of my body because it doesn't sit in like the socket right. And now it's causing a lot of drama. Like my lower back is all fucked up because I sort of I never stand on my right leg anymore. I'm always standing on my left leg.
Yeah, and it's tilted your hips and shit.
Yep, and then that's caused problem. Like I've put a tear in my groin this season, and it just won't go away. Like I just have to take time off the bike and not ride, and then that's frustrating because you can't really cycle or anything like that. And then just that whole area, because I had my coccyx bone removed in 2016.
Really?
So just, because I've broken it so many times, it had curled under and wouldn't heal.
Fuck.
So it's just like my body's a mess when you think about it. Like I've fractured T4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 in there. I'm not even sure. I've fractured so many vertebrae in my back. Never badly, but just enough to really sort of bother me now. I hate to watch myself ride because I've had so many shoulder injuries that I ride with my elbows really down and my back is really curved.
Yeah.
So I kind of look, it's not like technique wise, it really bothers me now but I just can't do it. Like I've had 11 scapular fractures. So yeah, but I just enjoy it so much. I'm just like, I can't see myself not doing it. Like, Yoda on the weekend, we went to dinner and he was sort of, are you going to race next year? Is it still recording?
Yeah, I'm just
We're all
checking.
good?
Yeah,
Going,
yeah.
Yoda was like asking me if I'm going to race next year because he's going to be, I think, based in California again. We'll be able to train together. And I was kind of like hoping that, I can get through it, but my body's just sort of falling apart and causing a bit of problems with that. But it's too enjoyable. I can't see myself not doing it.
Yeah. What like, if you have to explain to someone that tells you like you're fucking crazy, like what do you love about it so much?
Just I always joke around like the mental test of it. Like even just the getting up and training, and if I don't do my program that I've sort of made myself or stick to it, like I've had the same thing that I always do, I feel guilty. And I was kind of hoping that would go away, but it just hasn't. And the competitive side of it, like I'm very aware of my ability. Like I wouldn't come on here and sort of be like, I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to get a ride and do it. Like I'm very aware of what I'm capable of and stuff like that. But I just enjoy it. The cycling, like I don't even enjoy the gym stuff sometimes, but if I don't do it, I just get pissed off at myself. So I've got to get up and do it. Or yesterday, after not sort of getting the sleep from the weekend, by the time I got back from the embassy to get the China stuff, I washed the bike and then it was 3:30, and yoga on Mondays is always at 4:30, and I have to go do it. So, and I'm glad I did because I felt way better after doing it. But just that guilt of not training, I'm hoping at some stage that will go away. And the competitive of it, like at the races, I know I'm not going to obviously go out there and get a top 10 or whatever, anything like that. But put me on the start line and I'll be next to someone. I'm like, I'm going to beat this motherfucker to the first turn. I don't know. I'm hoping at some stage that will go away but it's not. So I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but man, I got so much respect for you and so much love for that, because that's why we should race. You know, like what you're doing, it's just so pure, and to not be like disillusioned or to be disenchanted by, the industry won't support me, no one's giving me this. No, like you're just fully prepared to just fucking do it all on your own for no other reason than you fucking want to do it and you love to do it. And it's such a lesson for people, I think. You know, like you can get inspired by like a Chase Sexton, you can get inspired by Eli Tomac, but at the same time, it's not very relatable to them. But you're fucking relatable. It's so sick what you're doing, and you know, people should apply that same mentality, not to, you know, doing a Supercross race or whatever, but just to their life in general. It's just sick to have like to have the balls to do it as well, and to not care about, you know, what other people think, or to not care about results or riding style. You just don't give a fuck about any of it, and that's so sick.
I get sort of surprised, especially during the COVID stuff. And I know there's obviously different sides to it. People couldn't probably get here or get their visas for racing or whatever. But there hasn't really been any Australians that have come from, like, we've got like the Lawrence brothers who they're not
on
even
a different
in the
level.
conversation. Yeah, a different planet. But I thought it was cool this year, and he completely got screwed over with he got injured and stuff like that. But Malross was going to come over and do it. And we rode a few times at the practice track, and he would have done really well this when he did come back, because the 450 class obviously has been decimated with injuries. He would have done very well, and it was sort of unfortunate that he'd spend all that money to come do it, and then it ended the way it did with his breaking his foot. But I kind of get surprised that if you are a racer and there is like, and you have that will to come and race over here, just make it happen. Like, do what sort of I did, go and just work your ass off back home to save up the money to be able to come over here and do it. But I feel like people get stuck in wanting to stay in Australia and race and being relevant there, where for me, I didn't give a fuck if I was relevant in Australia. I always had in my brain that I was going to race in America, and it took a while, because like the first time I came over, Anaheim won, broke my hand. Second time I came over, I was going to like race, and I had got hurt before the season, so I was going to do East Coast, drove all the way to the East Coast, first day at Club MX, broken shoulder. So those first few times I tried, I completely screwed it. But I always thought, I'm still going to race in America at some stage. And I think that is a little bit delirious.
Yeah, but you got to be delusional.
And I'm not obviously at the level to warrant coming to American racing. But I always just thought, well, why wouldn't I race Supercross? Like, what's the point of staying and racing the rinky-dink Australian Supercross series when there's this one over here that's way better? And it honestly has taken me a few years to get into it. Like, even on the weekend, I realised on the way home, I'm sitting on the start line, I didn't look up and look at the crowd. And it probably took until last year, probably at Seattle was the first time I sat on the start line and didn't think, I should look up and this is pretty cool. But it does take a long time to get comfortable with racing in another country and on the spectacle that Supercross is here. Whereas I think if you came over and you were on a team and you had that infrastructure around you, you wouldn't really realise how big of a thing it is to be racing here. But for me, coming and just being by myself, it was a little bit daunting in the beginning. Like, I do sit on the start line and you put me next to anyone and I'll be like, fuck them, I'm going to try and beat them. But in saying that, there is that part of your mind that's sort of like, well, shit, we're here now, it's way bigger, and there is, like, some of the rounds, there's 50,000 people in the stands. So I think I slowly started to get over that. When I first came over, I got knocked out at Glendale in, I think it was 17. I tried to race the 450 class and got knocked out on the starting line. And when I got back to the van, I said to my friend that was with me, I wasn't late, like, on the start line too long, and he goes, dude, you took forever to get your bike started. So I was just sitting there with all these people watching, but I was just cuckoo because I'd been knocked out. But that whole type of thing, it took me a while till now to just sort of be like, oh, it's just another Supercross.
Yeah.
So, and because I didn't get to come home and race the Australian Supercross sort of since 2019, this just became normal for me.
Yeah.
And the will to just want to keep racing. Like, at one point, I just didn't have anyone to come with me to the races. So in 2021 for the shootout in Salt Lake, I just went by myself. So I drove to Salt Lake, and whenever I would go out on the track, I would call mum and dad and say, I'm going out now, and I'll call you when I get back in. So I'd lock up the van and go out, and all day I was so slow because I was just kind of a bit in my head that shit, you're here by yourself. But in my head, I'm like, well, it's fine because you're just going to get the whole shot in the heat race and you'll be sweet. And then I went out and I got second on the start, and because it was a shootout, you had to be top 9 to make it through the main.
I remember this. Yeah.
And the East that I was on that year, because it was the COVID races, the East was pretty weak. So I ended up getting 8th in the heat race. And I remember being on the start line, and I had to ask the two mechanics next to me to put my button in,
Yeah.
like my Holster button, and they're like, "Where's your mechanic?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just here by myself chilling." So it's pretty fun. Like, to make the shootout, I thought that's probably like one of my best accomplishments, is to make the shootout and just be chilling there by myself. And it was a funny story because I was there by myself. I kept locking the van up, and after the second
Where were you putting the
qualifying session,
keys?
well, just like hiding them up under the wheel or whatever. And I accidentally didn't pack my mountain bike up. I had the mountain bike at the front of the van leaning up against the mountain bike. And after the second qualifying session, I went to the wash bay, washed my bike, and I get back to my van, and there's about 10 cops standing around my van. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And some chick in the pits, like, I don't know if she was homeless or whatever, she tried to walk out with my mountain bike. And luckily the fouled guys had security, and they chased her back, and she ditched the mountain bike, and then they arrested her. So I nearly lost my mountain bike. So, but I'm just there by myself at the race, just going, well, this is sick. We're still at a Supercross.
And in the main event, and in the East-West shootout.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, dude. And fuck, that shit's priceless, bro. You know, like, there's so many dudes that you just don't have that story, you know? Like, that's such a cool thing. Like, you'll never forget that.
No, yeah, sort of the not having, like, doing it the way it is now. Like, obviously, I'd like to do it with more, like, I'd like to be a better rider and have more support, but I do get a lot of funny stories out of it. And on the way home from Denver the other day, I was talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, you do realize I'm trying my hardest. Like, because when you go, she said, well, that was a really good weekend. And I'm like, when you really think about it, I got 17th. It's not that good of a weekend, is it? If you went, I'm going to race at the top level in the sport, and you said, well, you're going to end up 17th on the weekend, I'd be like, well, that's a bit fucking
why go?
shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
But she was like, no, that was really good. And I was kind of like, well, I am trying my hardest. That's everything I had out there. And I just wonder if you say, like, in my position, obviously I'm a lot further back in the field, but like a McAdoo or someone like that, I shouldn't name names, but like, he's obviously trying his hardest, and he's going up against someone like Jett Lawrence, who's just a freak of nature that rides around like he's on a slot car track.
Yeah.
And it's got to be so frustrating when they're training their balls off just as hard as like Jett and all that, but they're second.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. It's a very, anyone that says you can work hard at anything and be anything you want in life, I kind of say, well, that's a bit fucking stupid, isn't it?
It's so true, dude.
Yeah, it is. Like, fucking, you can work as hard as you want, but I'm never going to be as good as Jett Lawrence. That fucker's a freak.
Oh, dude. Hey, you're so fucking right, bro. And how much better is your life when you actually admit that to yourself?
Yeah, I find it funny when people sort of like, well, if we just keep working, you know, we're going to get there. And it's like, you're 27 and you're not on a factory team. You're not going to get there. Like, just enjoy yourself. Just work hard, do your best, and don't go around telling people that what you're going to do and how amazing you're going to be and all that. Because at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Nah, mate. I completely agree. Like, I was having this conversation the other day where it's like, and it sort of sounds like shit in a way when you say it, but it's like, I am successful in this podcast because I'm just literally being me. Like, I'm not trying. Like, I'm working hard at it, and I do what I've got to do. But at the end of the day, like, I don't have to try to do. I never write questions down. I never do research. I never
But the thing with that is, like, how many podcasts? If there's millions and millions of podcasts out there, they are all trying.
Yeah, that's
like you're just good at this. You're good at this. You're very, very lucky, and you found your niche.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're good at this. But there's a dude out there with a podcast with his 2 followers. Fucking, you're not going to make it.
But the thing is like the suffering that's attached to that trying to be something that you're not. But so this is the beautiful thing, right? Like, you can still do your podcast and have 20 followers and enjoy it. And that's the exact same as you racing Supercross, getting 17th, having a fucking ball, and like not torturing yourself over it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I think that that's like what you've discovered is honestly just a key thing in life, is that maybe you're not going to be Jett Lawrence, but you can still go to Supercross and you can still have a fucking ball and not care that you're not going to get a factory ride, and not, you know, and it's the expectations and the what you attach to the thing. That's the thing that can like ruin it for people. And that's why I think it's so cool that you've got the attitude that you've got and you go about it the way that you do, because you can do, when you've got the attitude that you've got, you can do anything in life and enjoy it.
Yeah, like you would think that, like, it's just more enjoyable because I'm not delirious in the fact that what I'm going to achieve in it. Like, I'm very aware of what I'm capable of, and I just try and enjoy the training aspect of it, getting to go and race. And that is still a hard thing. Even on the weekend, you put so much work into it that it does become stressful if you were to fuck it up, or like getting the whole shot on the weekend in the LCQ. Went around the first turn, I was like, well, shit, better not fuck this one up. So this will be a tough one to explain to Dad, because Dad don't give a shit, but I still call him after the race and be like, oh, sorry about that. But he's like, I don't care. But I still have expectations, and it's not like I'm.
Well, you want to do your best.
Yeah. I'm not saying, oh, I don't give a fuck, because like everything in my life is revolving around this. It's still like everything to me. But I think being around a lot of Americans, they have this some type of belief in them that is delirious.
Like everyone's like special.
Yeah, if you just work hard, you can be a champion. It's like, dude, you can't.
Oh, you're the best, dude. I love it.
So, but in saying that, I still will go to the races and try my best and give myself the best opportunity to be able to do as good as I can. And I think the hard thing with sort of getting across to people is that, because I don't post on social media or anything that much, I am working my balls off. Like that was the best I could do on the weekend, and I'm really, really trying. Yeah. But some people might think, like, and I'm sure there is riders out there that are just naturally talented and aren't training and getting 17th. But that is literally everything I've got to be able to get to the races and make mains and do my best. So this year's been quite hard because West has been pretty stacked in my opinion. Yeah. But I still feel like I'm riding just as good as I did last year. Maybe a little bit slower just because of a couple injuries. But I still am at riding well. And it's just, you've just got to do your best and not sort of have that belief that you're going to be way better than you are. You just got to try and enjoy it
Nah, dude. I honestly think you've nailed it. Like, mate, like, I'll spend fucking years talking about Supercross, and I'll make a living from Supercross, and it's like, you know, I probably make as much as some of the riders that get paid to ride Supercross, but I will never fucking race a Supercross. Like, it's something in my life I'll never do. Like, you're at 17th, mate. I would fucking kill to get 17th one night at a 250 West Coast. You know, like, it's all the comparison. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. You know, and it's like, mate, I'd give fucking anything to get 17th. And there's so many people out there. Like, yeah, you can say like, oh, well, fuck, shit night. Like, I got 17th. If you're looking at it as from the 20 people, only the 20 people that were in your race. But it's like, bro, there's a fucking million dudes out there that would give anything to have the level of riding to get 17th in a Supercross race, you know? So, like, it's that side of the coin that you got to play as well.
And you see online sometimes fans sort of will not pick on, but they'll write something about some of the guys that only just sort of make night shows, and they're showing up, and they're like, why are they?
Why
even
would
bothering?
you even bother? Yeah. I hate that.
If those guys are coming from a wealthy family, or they're just getting by with their $2,000 or whatever from the races, that if they're enjoying it and that's what they want to do, I don't see a problem with it. Like I know once you turn 30 and you just show up to race, maybe you start to move on with life. But even going into this last weekend, because my season has been so shit and rough, I was kind of thinking, am I just turning into the dude that's showing up for the night show? I'm like, dude, I have to make this main event on the weekend. Because mentally, I'm like, dude, I'm not showing up just to be not only in the night show. I am making main. So it was very relieving on the way home to be like, okay, main to main, maybe I'm not as bad as I was thinking coming into the end of this season.
Nah, dude, to be doing what you're doing is sick. You know, like I said, there's so many people that would give anything to sort of do it. And like, yeah, you're right. You can't do it forever. But at the end of the day, like, you get one life, and if it's a thing that you enjoy doing, and as long as you're not like ruining your life for it, you know, and
yeah,
I don't think
as long
it's
as
at
I'm
that
not
level.
spending all my money and just putting myself in a hole later, and or even putting my
Other people
parents
in a
hole. Yeah. But I like my girlfriend's kind of getting a little bit over it, because when I met her, I was in the position of like, well, I'm basically done racing. I hadn't raced sort of in a couple of years because of the injuries and stuff like that. And every year that I've raced, it's been the last year. And then this year was actually meant to be the last year. And I'm kind of like been slowly slipping into the conversations. Well, next year we'll be doing it. And she's like, kind of, what do you mean? Sort of. But I'm really hoping I do next year. I try and get myself a little bit more, I don't know the word, like, professional with organisation and having sponsors for each round to make that a little bit easier. But the big reason is I just want my parents to be able to come over and watch a race, because Dad doesn't understand. Like, we went to Marvel for AusX Open, and I sort of said, he's like, Dad, this is quite big. I'm like, it's not. This isn't the same as America. It's even though it is, like, Marvel's amazing to race in and stuff like that, but it's still not the same. It's not the same spectacle as it is
like an
in
A1
America.
or something.
Yeah, dude, A1 every time. That stadium, every time I walk in it, it just seems massive.
Yeah.
And you walk the track and you're like, holy shit, I'm only halfway around. Whereas in Australia, it's still like a 40-something second lap time, and it's quite small compared to some of the events in America. Whereas we're going to Salt Lake this weekend, and that stadium floor plan's quite small. I always kind of have enjoyed racing at Salt Lake because it's almost
It's a bit Aussie.
Just a beefier version of Australia.
Yeah.
Same with everyone, like, complains with Denver that it's sort of hard pack and shitty and that.
You're like, it's just like home.
Dude, last year at Denver, because it was a day race, that was just absolute concrete. There was just a black rubber mark around the whole track, and I'm like, this is sick. This is like back home. I would like some spec tires, but this is sick.
Dude, that's so good. Yeah, I think you got to do it and document it, though, I reckon, next year. Like, that's probably another reason. Like, you've done it for years now, just on your own. No one's seen it. Like, even just for yourself, I reckon just having the memories of just, like, you know, committing to filming it for the year. Even if you do something where you're like, we'll try and figure it out when it comes closer to it. But even if you just do something where it's like, you get a camera, you log the footage, we'll show you how to dump it, and then, you know, like, we'll send it off to get fucking edited, so you don't have to deal with, like, that bullshit. But, like, even just documenting, like, the way that you do it, and I don't know, like, there's got to be something cool in that, you know, just, like, really showing people, like, kind of how you've done it. Because it is unique, man. I don't know that many guys that are doing it the way that you are.
Well, yeah, it is, like, coming from back home, and I had done a little bit of the bike work. Like, I've slowly learnt more and more. But coming here and then being by yourself, and you kind of like, well, I have to take the motor out now. And now I've gotten pretty quick at doing motor changes and stuff like that. Because even after Oakland this year, I had on the race bike, I must have at Anaheim too landed on a tough block or something like that. And landed with the shifter up really hard because it had cracked the case a little bit or
yeah,
something like that inside. And I hadn't ridden the race bike until the Wednesday before Oakland, and I rode it at Elsinore, and it started having it missed a couple of shifts a few times, but I sort of thought, oh, it's fine. And then when I went to Oakland in the free practice, I missed one big shift, and then all day at Oakland I would sort of shift up to fourth, and then for the whoops, and then I'd shift down twice to go into the next turn, but it would only go down once, and then I would have to go down on the first double, and then I'd shift back up, and it was sort of landing and guessing what gear I was in.
Oh.
So after that race, I had the race bike the motor had to come out, so that could be fixed, and then the practice bike it was due for a piston, and it just sort of timed it
all at the same time.
And so I just didn't ride for like 3 weeks, and I'm lucky that I had the 350 sort of sitting there, but that wasn't rideable either because I had sort of put that to the side and hadn't sort of got that ready. So before Seattle, I only rode Supercross twice, but in that 5 week or 4 week break. So that sort of stuff, I need to be a little bit more organized with, but it's sort of when shit goes wrong, like who would have thought that I would have landed on a tough bike? So that makes it hard because you do have, when you're trying to build momentum during the season or whatever, you do have breaks, whereas team guys and that, they don't. They just sort of get it fixed or whatever, and you keep the program going.
Like AC would have no idea what's wrong with any of his bikes. Like he would have.
But I have gotten pretty good at the mechanical side of thing. Like if you held a gun to my head, I could probably do a piston, but I wouldn't want to because it wouldn't be timed right or whatever. But everything else, it's basically just common sense. You just slowly pick. Like when I got the KDM, like the gas, the electrical, I'm like, well, fuck, I got to figure this out. So it's just slowly picking away. And if I do get stuck, I've got, like, there is mechanics that are quite awesome, like Nate Alexander and who else? There's like Scott Youngstrand and Ben Griffith. They're my go-tos.
Benny. Shout out to Benny.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's been really good to me.
Legend.
That before the season, I couldn't get my brakes to bleed up, and then I took him round to him, and that fucker got him in 5 minutes. I spent hours trying to get my brakes split up, and he's like, "Oh, you just got to know the tricks." I'm like, "You motherfucker."
Oh, dude, I love that guy. When I get back over there, me, you, and him should do like 3 of us on the podcast. I reckon that would be hilarious.
Yeah, he's probably actually got some good stories and good knowledge because if you really think about it, he comes from England.
Yeah,
he's won championships in Australia with DPH.
Yeah,
and then he's come over here, worked for Anderson and that whole group, which I'm sure was pretty
loose.
Cool. And yeah, and originally he was only working, I think, at Grindstone, just working on like customers' bikes or whatever, and then moved over to Anderson, and now he's at Factory Honda.
Yeah.
So to think about someone that's come from and worked his way up, like not being from America, sometimes I feel like it just takes a long time to weasel your way into getting the job that he has, because it's pretty cool now. Like obviously he's an amazing mechanic, but to get the opportunities, it takes a long time.
Yeah, well, I think that, it just speaks to he's such a good dude. You know, like there's a million mechanics that are good mechanics, but how many are real good mechanics and real good dudes that you actually want to be around, you know?
One thing I always thought with mechanics is, don't you feel like every mechanic thinks they're the best mechanic?
Oh, fucking.
Dude, and there's my way or the highway with
every suspension guy.
Shut the fuck up.
Every suspension guy has their secret fucking sauce. Dude, I won't name the mechanic, all right? So, this is when I was working with JDR, right? They spent one season. So, the electronics that are in pretty much like all the factory dudes are using this electronics these days. And like I was actually just in Italy for MXGP in the Cowie rig, and then I saw one of the guys that worked for this company, and JDR like bought them into Supercross and Motocross. So they were running like, bro, they spent $500,000 or some shit on like this company to come in and do all these they do cars and stuff. So anyway, we just get out of this fucking meeting with this company that's put 500 grand worth of fucking thing in. We go to pick up. I had a friend over there who had his race bike getting built. And we went into this guy's shop. And then Jay's like, oh, what kind of horsepower are you getting out of your 250? Because he was building some 250 race engines for KTMs. He's like, oh, I can't tell you that, mate. Like, I put in that. And we both just were like, oh, fuck. Well, it ain't $500,000 just on admission. So, like, are you really giving away that much to us, bro? And it was like, he just fucking thought he had the secret sauce. And I was just like, mate, you and every other fuckwit that works on a bike.
It's funny like that they don't want their secrets out, or teams don't want, like, I'm not talking about over here because it's all very professional and that.
Yeah.
I remember being on Raceline Suzuki back in the day in Australia.
Yeah.
And at that time, like, I've only got good things to say about Woodsy and the Tisdales and all that. They were awesome to me. But in that time, Woodsy had just left, and they were trying to keep the team going, and the manager that was running it, he was really cool dude, but it was way too much work for him to do at the time, just by himself. And I was running from the year before, I think it was Errol Willis' suspension from the year before. I had duct tape holding in the air screw on the top, like the bleed screw, and I went and took my suspension to get done by someone else, and I got in big trouble but I was like, fuck this. Like, I want... Yeah. But then I got in trouble for it, and they're like, well, we can't have people seeing in the stuff. And I'm like, well...
What's in there?
Help me.
What's in there, bro? You got fucking diamonds. It's literally
shims. Serviced in months.
It's shims and oil. That's it. That's what's in there.
Yeah, it's funny all that. Everyone thinks they're the best mechanic or whatever, but it's just... At the end of the day, it's just mechanics.
Oh, mate, yeah. And especially, like, fuck... It's so funny. I've had so many stories and, like, just seen it so many times. And I'm like, mate, I can't feel the fucking difference between any of this shit anyway. What are you carrying on about?
I always find it funny when vet riders or whatever want to talk about their setup and I need to do this. And maybe it's just because I've never had the opportunity to test.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know shit when it comes to... Like, I do, and I can tell you what the bike's doing and stuff like that, but I'm not the one to come back and go, oh, we need to go out in the rebound or whatever like that. That's one thing I've struggled with outdoors. I feel like you need to actually have testing and have a bike set up, whereas with Supercross, as long as it's stiff enough to go through the whoops. Like, I haven't even had... I'm lucky if I've got... Derek Kelly's mechanic out at the track because he'll help me with my sag or whatever. Dude, I'll go for like a month at a time without checking the sag because I've got no one there to help me. So, it's just so rinky-dink sometimes. But as long as the bike's running fine, it's not too bad. Like the other day, I hopped on the race bike before we were at Denver, and I absolutely hated my race bike because I tried to cut a corner this year and only buy one bike, so I used the race bike from last year as my practice bike.
Yeah.
But the difference in the frames now, one of them has way too many hours.
Yeah.
And like all the motors fresh and everything, like they're the same motor, but the feel-wise is so completely different that I hopped on the race bike and I freaking hated it.
Yeah.
And I ended up, before Denver, I just put all my practice bike suspension in the race bike, because that stuff's got probably 20 hours on it.
Yeah.
And the fresh stuff felt crappy. But what was I saying? The frame. So I was practicing on the practice bike and I hadn't done the sag for a few weeks. I was running 109 mil of sag and I've been sort of running about 98. And I hopped on the race bike and they had measured it up to 98 and I was like, this is horrible. What is going on? But for 3 weeks, I'd been riding with the wrong sag. So ended up jacking it a bit down and it was sweet for the weekend.
Dude, that's so funny. Yeah, the frames will make a big difference, especially on the steel frames. Like once you start putting bulk hours on those on the steel frames, they start to get real loose, which is good for outdoors and shit.
But not for like at Hemet now. just the standard triple, and then you go into these two low triples that are quite fast. And I swear my practice bike, I land in the middle of them, and the practice bike just wobbles the frame, and because it flexes so much compared to the race bike that's only sort of got 20 hours on the frame.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned my lesson this year. I got to sell everything and start with new bikes, because just the difference has made it super hard. It takes me a day to get used to each time.
Yeah.
So. But shouldn't have tried to cut a corner in the off season, I guess.
Well, it's funny. I bought this 04 YZ250, the last of the steel frame, and the first time I kickstarted it, I thought I fucking bent the thing in half. It had that much flex. I was like, dude, this is out of control. No wonder they liked them.
It would have been interesting back in the day with all the two strokes, and you got to think in the early 90s or whatever, the steel frames weren't what they were in the 2000s, and so how often were they changing frames?
Oh, bro, it would have been a lot. Like, you remember Pingree overjumped that triple and snapped his completely in half.
Yeah, he's triple clamp. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because 2002 was the first year that I sort of started to realize what American Supercross was, because we didn't have pay TV.
Yeah, same.
And obviously,
I was
back home. Really? So you had Channel 7, Channel 9, and Channel 10 on the TV. So Dad at the practice track or whatever must have found some guy that had VHS tapes or whatever. So I remember having Anaheim 1, where Carmichael went over the bars in 02. And then we had like San Diego with the good race between Pastrana and Wyndham on the Suzuki's, the heat race.
Yeah.
And then like Phoenix and a few things like that. So I had the race that Pingree snapped his triple clamps. And I wish sometimes, like, obviously technology and that is amazing these days, and you don't have to worry about your bike cutting out because of carb issues and stuff like that. But imagine if we still were on 125s. Yeah. And you're still struggling to make triples, and because you watched the pace back in the day in those 125 races, not so much the 250s because they're like fast and those riders are amazing, but you watch that, they can't even get through the whoops. Like, they skim the first 5 whoops, and then they just drop down. Yeah. Like, imagine if Supercross was still like that these days.
Well, dude, like, you've been there this year. You might be a good person to talk about it, but like, so before everyone gets at me in the fucking comments, that HEP Suzuki team is not factory Suzuki. That's got some... they're still privateers, right? Essentially, like factory
Jamie
support.
At Twisted is doing, like, they're legitimately just got a company that, and I'm sure they get some type of transmission parts or what.
They'd get shit.
But
they're not
still
factory
being
Suzuki.
Built by a company that is just accessible to everyone.
Yeah. So at Denver Supercross, when the finish line, like the checkered flag flew, there was 2 factory riders left in the 450 class. That is so hectic, dude.
That goes back to, like, was it 03 or one of the years there was basically like Chad and Ricky left, and the rest were hurt. Yeah. So I guess, and everyone.
You're right, man. Like, it has happened before. Yeah.
Yeah, like in 03, I think the last 6 races or whatever was Chad, Ricky, and Fonseca. Yeah. That was the podium, because they were the only ones left. Huh. So when people say, "Oh, the sport's sort of dangerous," I feel like it's always going to be dangerous. Anyone can tip over in a corner and hurt themselves. Or look what happened with Webb in Nashville. That's just, like, anyone, you could fall over in a turn at the practice track and get hit like that.
Same shit, yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, it's too dangerous now," and I do think that it is more dangerous now with the speeds and just what the 450s and that are capable of. Like, I can't freaking ride a 450. I'm only 60 kilos, and I can ride one, and when it starts to go wrong, it's just done.
Yeah, you're just a passenger.
Yeah. So when you think about that compared to a 252 stroke, how light that is and what you can get away with that, I understand that there's that side of it, but also the power of a 450 can get you out of trouble as well. Yeah. So when people talk about how we need to sort of make the sport safer, yeah, they should always be looking to make the sport safer. But it could just be one of those years. Like it does happen but it is pretty amazing that there was 2 factory guys left on the weekend.
Yeah. I wonder, like Casey Stoner, he has probably the best suggestion that I've heard. And that's that we should go to like some kind of Supercross tyre, like a custom made tyre for Supercross that just doesn't have the knobby height that the current tyres do. Because if you think about it, it's all the ruts and the transitions that it's like, because it seems like nowadays the transitions between and you'd obviously be able to speak to this better than me, but it's like the edges and the ruts and the kickers that you're getting through whoops, and then like the ruts in the transitions of the up ramps. It just seems like they're so gnarly nowadays, like way gnarlier than they used to be. And I just wonder if that's a mix between the rear tyre and the amount of power and torque that 450s have. And we're doing 20 minutes instead of 20 laps. Sometimes it's like 26, 27 laps on a main.
Yeah, 27 laps. Imagine like how much races would be different back in the day if there was 7 more laps. Like, so saying that about the tracks breaking down, it's all like I try and tell my mates back home that you watch on TV and you don't really understand how completely like obliterated the whoops get. Like all of the riders on the line, if you built a set of whoops that was, who gives a fuck how high they are, like 3 meters, whatever, they all can skim them. Like obviously the top guys would skim them faster, but we can all skim whoops.
Yeah.
But when they get blown apart, those top guys continue to
just
skim
keep
them.
doing it.
And then that's where I'm kind of like, well, I don't have that skill.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't understand how sometimes they skim them, because there was, what was it last year, Anaheim 3, I think it was, where everyone crashed in the whoops. And
yeah, it was Anaheim 3.
Yeah, Tomac and Anderson were the ones still skimming in the end, and I was just blown away. Like, how the hell do you have the skill on the bike and the strength and all that to be able to go through a set of whoops like that? Because it's literally like a bomb's gone off in the whoops. And that's the thing, those top guys continue to skim. Sometimes I think, shit, they probably don't really want to skim, but they're on factory teams. They just have to send it into it. And that's why you have crashes. Whereas sometimes I'm like, well, I'll be doubling these wheels.
Yeah. Well, dude,
like
in
saying that, I got 12th last at Anaheim 3 last year because all the guys crashed. And I'm like, fuck, I'm just doubling and tripling these whoops. So
dude, you smoked Hunter that weekend.
Yeah, he's still laying there. Yeah. Dude, I honestly think sometimes with those, because I've been quite brittle throughout my career, those guys will have a hit like that and get up and race the next weekend. I'd still be laying there. Like, I fall over in the corner. I'm like, well, fucking broken my shoulder in 3 places.
Yeah, there's my collarbone.
Yeah, but those guys are so amazing sometimes just to get up and, like, the Webb crash when he went over the whoops on the Dragon's Back. Over bars
Atlanta?
Yeah, or Dallas or whatever what it was, where he landed on the concrete and then raced the next weekend. Fuck, that's gnarly. When that stuff comes to it, I would love to see behind the scenes of what injuries they actually have to be able to ride through that. Because I've raced with fractured scapulas and all that sort of stuff. It's not easy. And they're doing it at their level. That's what I don't understand, that their level is still so high and they can overcome this stuff. Because I still don't understand how it works. Because I get nagging injuries and all that throughout the season, and I'm only doing 8 or 9 West races, and we've got all these breaks. Those top guys are doing 17 rounds in 18 weekends.
Yeah.
They're flying commercial. So you've got Joe Blow sitting next to you on the plane coughing. And then they have 1 weekend off, and then they'll do 12 rounds in 14 weekends. And it's 100 degrees, it's 40 degrees every day basically in summer here. So how the hell are they doing it without getting IVs or anything like that. And there is rules, but sometimes it makes me question how the fuck they're doing it, because I know how tired I get, and I know they're just focused on riding, but sometimes I'm like, holy shit, those guys are so gnarly to show up every weekend and perform at the level that they do.
Mate, I could not agree more. Like, you never want to accuse people of taking shit, but like, but like, fuck, dude, like, you know, and even like me, right? So I'm on my big week for me. This is like my gnarliest week that I'll have. I'll do jiu-jitsu 3 times or 4 times max, and then I'll ride twice. I can't get off the fucking couch for the entire week. Once I've done my Saturday Arvo motos, like, it's over, bro.
Dude, half the time for me, I'm basically just in zombie mode. Like, like my program is, I get up at 6. If I'm riding that day, I go down, I hop on the cycle, do my 15 minutes, and then I stretch, and then you to the track, you do your motos, you kind of finish about 1, and then depending on what day it is, like a Tuesday or a Friday or whatever, I'll do an hour on the cycle at low heart rate, and I'm basically just a zombie. Like Wednesdays, I do my gym workout, and that's one thing that I've basically had to cut back on. I only go to the gym sort of once a week to do weights, because I physically can't do it anymore. Sort of, I just basically just do my shoulder rehab with my bands, and then a few, like, everything now is just trying to keep my body sort of going.
Yeah.
And you see those guys and they're training hard, and that sometimes I think I do too much, but then I kind of have that guilt of, well, shit, they're probably doing something like this. But I just have my program that I've sort of tried to figure out, but sometimes I just have to go, nah, I shouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, you're trying to be a motorbike rider. You're not trying to be a fit person in everything sort of thing. You're just a motorbike rider. So for me, I always make sure I get my yoga done, and then my cycles with my low heart rate. And then if anything has to drop off, it's the other stuff, because as long as I get my ride and then the yoga and that in, that's what sort of keeps me going. But even the riding, sometimes I'll cut back to, if we're racing back-to-back weeks, like this week, I'll only ride once. Just because with the driving, when you think about it, to drive to Denver, that's basically 30 hours of driving in that week. And then to go to Salt Lake will be another sort of 22 in that week. You just get absolutely rooted.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a truckie and a racer.
Yeah. And I got to get Lucy to be able to, my girlfriend, to learn how to drive the van, because she can't, like, I don't want to blow her out on here, but she's not the best driver. And I haven't quite trusted her yet to be able to drive the van. So she basically just sits in the passenger seat and pokes me when I start to get a little bit tired. But she's been lately, she'll tap out about 1 a.m. and then she'll hop in the back and sleep. And I'll just sort of keep driving and put on a podcast and try and zombie it through the night. But if you don't do that, then the whole week, like,
you've cooked your week.
Yeah, like I had to sort of have only the 2.5 hours of sleep after Denver to get back to be able to prep the bike and that, so that I can ride on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and then we've got to go on Thursday. So that sort of stuff. I was trying to talk with Mason Kerr on the weekend, because he's been traveling around and doing all the 450 races, and I was kind of like, to some weeks you just not ride, and he's like, yep, we just only ride at the races some weeks, because otherwise, where are you going to ride when you're in Detroit or wherever Supercross is?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sometimes just that's the difference I feel like someone like that has to be in their own race with their own, like, in their mindset of, well, I'm not competing with the guys that are...
Yeah, we're doing a different sport.
Yeah, it's a completely different sport, but that's what makes Supercross and Motocross so interesting, because we are racing at the top level in the world, but also we're just kind of normal people in the back half of the field. Whereas in MotoGP or Formula One or
that doesn't
whatever,
exist.
No, that doesn't exist. And the thing for me is, we, like, being a privateer, and I'm sure the top guys get messages and that, but they're so top they can just ignore them. Yeah. Whereas I feel when someone messages me from Australia or whatever, I feel bad, and I always accept it, and I'll try and reply and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like those top guys would just have to be so selfish and just be like, fuck it, I'm not. Or they wouldn't even run their social media.
Yeah.
Because you have to draw a line somewhere and distance yourself from it, because they've got a job to do, and you have to be kind of rude sometimes to people.
Yeah. Man, I struggle with that big time, because like I pretty much do the same thing. I accept every message and I try and reply to pretty much everyone, and like lately I've started deleting Instagram like literally off my phone and just having it on my internet browser, because like, yeah, even for me to just distance myself from the podcast, even just, and then between that and like, I don't give a fuck about YouTube comments, but a YouTube comment is different than like a direct message on Instagram for me. But like, yeah, dude, it can just fully run your life, eh?
Yeah. And even like at the races now, basically Lucy's job is to, if someone does come into the pit tent, because I don't even have a banner or anything, I'm just lucky that Motul gave me a quick shade, and people can just walk in and start talking. And on the weekend I was trying to change a sprocket, and I'm like, dude, I've got 30 minutes to get back to qualifying. I'm sorry, I can't talk. So now Lucy would just talk to him, and everyone's fine with talking to a young chick. So that seems sweet. But like this weekend, I had someone coming into the pit tent, and they asked if they could sit on my bike. This probably about a 14-year-old girl came up and asked to sit on the bike, and I didn't want to be rude and say, well, no. So then they took, I'm like, what is going on right now? I'm like trying to work on the bike, and these people are coming up and asking to sit on it. I should have charged them.
Oh, Kevin Moran's does.
No, not Kevin. Oh, does he? Is it?
No, I don't know. I'm just joking.
Pete Piazza.
Oh, really?
Well, he was doing the bike rev. Didn't you see that? He was revving he was marketing genius. He had like a pit board that said $20 to rev my bike.
That's sick.
But then he got shut down because I think he got a bit carried away with it. Yeah. Because it would be pretty annoying to be
Fun
next
police,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah, but in saying that, that's pretty cool to come up with something. Like, no one's thought of that for however long Supercross has been running.
Dude, that's fucking funny.
Because the general fan is so like oblivious to the whole sport that if they were to see I can rev a bike, like, holy shit, that is pretty cool. But have you ever been up in the stands? Let's say for me, if I hadn't made like the main or just going to watch the Supercross, you sit up in the stands and you listen to some of the conversations people have.
Oh, I just have no idea.
And they're saying like Tomac's on the KDM, and you have to bite your tongue and go, this dude has no idea. Yeah. But that's the type of fan that 90% of the people at the event that would be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, eh? Like in the sport, and it's like one of my big motivations with the podcast was to try and because I always think about the UFC because that's like the other sport, that's the only non-moto sport.
That's all I follow. I've transitioned from I only used to listen to moto stuff, and then slowly now probably 60% of what I listen to is just MMA. Yeah. So that's like a sport for me that I've been able to just throw myself into, because when you've had a bad weekend of that, you don't want to
hear more moto shit.
So it's been good because with all my bike work and stuff like that, I just listen to MMA podcasts, whether it's like the Bisping podcast or the Weighing In or anything like that. I listen to all them. So I'm fully just I would say the fans that are sitting in the stands at Supercross, I am basically that person for MMA. Like I've never fought, I've never trained or anything like that, but I know all the fighters, like majority of them, and I know what they're good at and all that sort of stuff. But if I was to have a conversation with someone who's an actual MMA person, that would be like, holy shit, this guy knows nothing. But
you would know way more compared to the dudes that come to Supercross, right?
Yeah, I would say so. But that's, I guess, because I would hope that I wouldn't be saying something that was completely ridiculous about MMA.
Yeah. So
whereas those guys don't know that they're saying something ridiculous about Supercross.
Yeah, and so like that's kind of what because dude, you look at the numbers, right? Like for the random content that you see on the internet for like an MMA or a fucking we'll just stay on the MMA example. It's like the content that you've got, like Israel Adesanya does a fight reaction video and it'll get like damn near 1 million views. And then I'll do one, like I'd put one up yesterday and it got 50K. So it's like he's 20 times bigger than let's just say that video is 20 times bigger than my video. But it's like our stadiums are way fucking bigger than what so like the actual people, like I've never been to a UFC fight.
Oh, haven't you?
Nah, like never actually been in the crowd for one. But I've been to like a bunch of Supercrosses and like you said, 50,000, 60,000, like most of the time the arenas that the fights are going in, it's only like 14,000 people. And then it's like on pay-per-view, I guess it's on ESPN now. But so I guess the point is like Supercross has so many people going to it and they've got so many people that are viewing it. It's on NBC Sports. Like it's a fucking huge sport. But there's a disconnect between like the fans that go to the races and the like watch it and the ones that are like really in the sport. And so that's where I was like, well, with this podcast, I was like, well, I just want to try and start to capture those people that like the casuals, like that's what they call them in MMA, you know, it's we don't have like casuals. We either have dudes that think they know fucking everything or the dude that'll pay $20 to rev a bike. Like there's no casual fans.
No, like we were lucky in, it would have been a couple years ago now, we went to a UFC event in Vegas. We went to T-Mobile Arena and watched the Volkanovski Ortega.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Dude, it was sick. But in saying that, we should have just gone to a bar and watched it. Cause
you can't see anything, eh?
Dude, we were at the very back because like I think our tickets were $350 or something like that.
It's still expensive, eh?
We just watched the screen the whole time. We couldn't, Volkanovski and Ortega, they were so small, you couldn't actually see what was going on. But in saying that, it was cool because the atmosphere was pretty sweet. But it's so funny that like we have the type of fans that don't really know anything at Supercross. You also had at the UFC, between every fight, they just started singing "Fuck Joe Biden," "Let's go, Brandon." And we had this old lady just sitting next to us, just screaming it. And I was like to my girlfriend, I'm like, I want to get in on this. This is awesome. But inside like that, those sports do have that casual fan that probably knows not much about it, but they're just going to see a fight. Yeah. Whereas I feel like we get for Supercross, the people that come just want to see crashes or just some like racing or whatever like that. So we do have those fans. And when you, like you said, we have stadiums that are like 35 to 50,000 people. And to be able to, for me, I'm thinking for next year, like there should be some way, say if at each race we have 30,000 people, 10 of them are walking through the pits. Like 10,000 people would be walking through the pits. I was thinking this good idea would be, and I'm not trying to pimp out my girlfriend, but to have an A-frame set up at my pit tent with a QR code to an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if Feld would allow that or whatever, but you wouldn't be selling anything at the race, but you could make an OnlyFans and fund the racing that way. But
dude, I bet you could
I
bet you could get a fucking deal with OnlyFans, eh? And like have them on your bike. Because I know Logan's got something, Carniar's got something with OnlyFans. But OnlyFans has started sponsoring so many people that aren't like doing fucking porn on there. I mean, if you got a hog, go for gold, but but like,
oh no, so that's the problem. Same with what, like, yeah. If I was packing, fucking, I would definitely definitely be doing some content, but that's the problem when you're not. It's kind of like you don't want to be going around the motorcycle and just going, look at that guy over there.
Yeah, and then your hip would be popping out every time you'd be going.
Yeah, just wait. I got a cramp in the hip. Just great content.
Oh, that's so fucking funny. Dude, before I forget, when we were talking about like crashes and dudes getting up, there was one day that I was at the Stewart compound and fucking James threw his RMZ 450 like a 400 meter cartwheel and just got up and walked off.
Really?
Oh, bro, I thought the dude was dead. Like, I was like, oh, I just saw James Stewart die, and then he just gets up and walks off. Like,
it's pretty
unbelievable,
it's amazing,
man.
Sometimes what the body can go through, and you can be okay, and then you'll have like a little, like, look at Tomac on the weekend. Just
didn't even do anything wrong.
Fucked his life and he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So, but whereas even when you're younger, like I'm sure growing up, like you have a crash, and when you're younger and you're just like, holy shit, if you add up how many crashes you had from 65s to 85s, there were absolutely monumental crashes, and you just get up and you're fine.
Just nothing.
And you do that as an adult, and you don't usually get away with it too good.
Mate, I've had 3 crashes. I had this crash I had a crash at Cape York, and I actually cartwheel, went over the bars. I fucked my wrist. It's still pretty cooked. But I was like, all good, hit my head. Got up, kept riding because we're in the middle of the bush. Like, I think I had 80 Ks to go until the camp. Got going again. Then I was like, mate, this is sick. Like, I'm having so much fun riding. The conditions were amazing. And I was out in front of our group for a bit. And no dust. No, just as good as it gets. And I fucking hit this tree so hard, dude. There's all these, the 4-wheel drivers, they come and they like cut off the tree stumps just below like the engine of the car so they can keep, but you can't fucking see them on a moto when you're doing 80 Ks an hour. So I've hit one of them and then just hit this fucking tree, bro, just like bang on. And I tore my knee a bit, but it was the biggest crash. And I got up from it and I was like, bro, you should be dead. Like, you fucked your knee, but you should actually be dead. There's a video. I had a Red Bull tin in my Camelback, and I went over the bars, squashed a Red Bull tin. Like, it was like flat like a pan. Didn't pop. And so I had that one. And then I've had 2 crashes since I've been in Dubai that were just like, this sand track is 6 Ks long, and it's like 4th, 5th gear wide open. That entire, just sand whoops. It's like FINKE, but in a 6K circle, basically. And I've had 2 just fucking huge ones over the bars. I think the second time I got a concussion. But yeah, I'm just like, mate, you cannot do that. Like, like, this is not, this is not okay to be doing this, eh?
Yeah. It's so funny like that. Yeah, you have those things that you get away with, and then if you keep doing that, you're not going to get away with it. But
you got to have a real conversation. Nah, I was supposed to do it last year.
Yeah, I've been to it when I was hurt in 2019. I went and just spectated because my mate was doing it, and it was pretty cool. I would want to do it. Like, I did Hatta back I did it in 08 and 2000. I did it in 08 as a junior, and then 2010 as a senior, just on the 250. And that was cool, but FINKE is kind of like its own sort of thing. Like, you're just going straight down. And I don't know if my lower back could take it now with the whoops are that long. But it would be it's one of those events that I just want to tick off one day.
Yeah.
But in saying that, the competition side of I would still want to go there and just fucking send it.
Oh.
But the consequences of that, you don't want to crash at that speed.
Nah, fuck no. Dude, I've been trying, because I'm going to do World Vets over there at the end of the year. And I've been training, doing like proper motos. I went out the other day, did 320s. Like, my hands are all fucked. Like, I've actually been trying. And I got off the bike the other day. I don't know why, but since I got back from Europe, I've been a bit cooked. But I got off the bike after the last moto, and like my legs, like my hamstrings and lower back was smoked, bro. And I was like, I don't know what FINKE would be like.
No, just standing in that position of like, I guess you're just standing position, bent over.
Yeah.
It just blows out. If you've ever tried to do sand whoops for that long, your back's blow. Like when you building up for a sand race, because like I haven't got to ride in the sand for years now, but I grew up 2 minutes from Rosebud.
Yeah, Rosebud, yeah, which is gnarly.
Yeah, so before like Wanneroo and all that each year for the Nationals, we'd just train, and you do get good in the sand, but it takes like a few weeks to build up that stamina of like the lower back. When you first start riding sand, your lower back just blows out so quick.
Well, dude, I'm going back home on Friday, and man, I'm actually really excited. This sounds so lame, but I'm so excited to just go to QMP and ride like a easy, normal motocross track and just see the difference that it has made spending 4 months riding this fucking torture chamber of a track.
What bike you got in Dubai?
I bought a Gas 450.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so which has actually been, because obviously 350 gang, but I've actually really enjoyed riding the 450. And I'm like, dude, so how's this? I took 30 seconds off my lap time last weekend when I rode, because like I sort of haven't been trying to ride fast. I've just been trying to go like, all right, I'm going to do 320s or I'm going to do 220s. Or like, I haven't actually just been trying to send it. And then the other day, I knew I was not going to go do motos because I'd just been working and like I was just fucked. So I was like, all right, today I won't do motos. I'll just try and actually go fast. So I pulled in behind one of the fast guys and like went with him. And like all I did different was just hold the 450 wide open in a straight line. And I took 40 seconds off my lap. Because like normally I'm like, 3/4 throttle. Like, all right, that's fast enough. Yeah. And then on Saturday I was just like, and then backed it off. And like actually couldn't believe how much fucking...
So is it that wide open over there? Like you've got long... Because I remember like saying that you just like getting on the limiter in a straight line when I did Hadar in 2010.
It'd be like very similar to Hadar.
My dad is sort of, he doesn't know that much, and I was still only 18 at the time. So we geared the bike, but it wasn't geared nowhere near enough. Yeah. So for 4.5 hours, I just sat basically on the limiter, just in top gear, just blah 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 blah. Dude, when I got home, I dropped the sump out of it, and it literally just went drip, drip, and there was no oil. I still don't know how the bike finished, but yeah, it was never the same after that. It was just like there was something wrong with that bike. Obviously, it had been run without oil, but I felt so bad just thinking. Just sitting on the limiter for like 4 hours, and it's still survived. It was just a Sten Honda, but it still survived.
Well, dude, so because I wear my Garmin for my watch, so like my top speed on this track when I just do like a normal moto is like 101 k's an hour. Yeah. And then the average speed is like 70 k's or 68 k's. So yeah, there's one section where you come in and it's like a bit slower, but it's like kind of like these big U-turns, but you're still third gear on the 450 in the turns.
I'm sure once you get on QMP, you're going to feel so weird having to brake, and then your top speed is going to be so slow.
There's only 2 corners I use the brakes on this whole track. Like, literally, and because the sand, it's dry sand. So it's not like, you sort of don't have that much like feeling or grip. It's just completely like, it's just a sand dune basically. And so like the bike slows down so much every time you back off the throttle that you're just rolling kind of through turns. And as soon as you do hit the brakes, like you're so over the front,
As soon as the weight goes in the front, you get the little bit of it. Especially when you go on that speed in sand, do you get the bike wobble where it sort of wobbles down the straightaway?
It's so scary.
Like sickening feeling when you're sitting on like over 100 and it just starts to slow because the sand moves, so you just do the weave down. Yeah, I remember doing that at Hadar.
There's one section down the back straight, and that's where you do 100 like you could go faster, but there's 2 drop-offs in it, so it's probably like 3 or 4 feet drops. But imagine going 100 k's an hour in dry sand and then doing a fucking drop-off. Like when you do the drop-off, you're going so fast your helmet peak like the wind comes and like lifts your head, and then you got these 2 drops, and then you go up and there's just this massive sand dune that you downshift. I go to 3rd, and then you just like launch up off this sand dune, and then you land, and then you go into 4th, and then you turn left, and then there's just another massive straight with like these 3 huge tabletops in it. And then you go like right, and then another massive straight. So the thing's just wedged, dude, the entire time. Like, but it's actually been, I'm gonna miss riding there. It's actually been, and because I was so shit at the start. Like, I think I would have probably been doing like 7-minute lap times, I reckon. And now, over 7-minute lap times. And now I'm down to like just over 6 minutes.
Right. So you're not staying in Dubai?
Nah, I'll go back home back to Oz for like a month or whatever, and then come back.
Yeah. And you're in Queensland, aren't you?
Yeah, Goldie.
Like, or QMP, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever ride at Reedy Creek?
Nah, man. So that was kind of like before my time, eh? So like I was actually only just telling this story the other day. It's funny when you said like you didn't get American Supercross until like 02. I didn't get it until 04. 04 Bar to Bar was the first like DVD that I ever got. That was, until then it was only Krusties. So like Krusty Demons,
really?
yeah. And then we got some Nitro Circus. And but yeah, 04 Bar to Bar. So that was like my first time like properly getting to follow like a whole series. Like I knew all the other riders and shit, but I never got to like actually follow the races. But I was the kid that all my mates in school had bikes, and I used to bum bikes off my mates. Like I'd just be friends with kids just because they had fucking motos. Like for whatever reason, I just loved it so much. And it wasn't until I was like 15. Like I had to get a job and buy my own bike. Like we just couldn't really afford one. And yeah, by the time I actually got my own bike, I think I was 14 or 15. And so our first bike, Dad bought me and Maddie a TTR 125L. And we had to share it. So I was senior lights racing a TTR 125 at the Cairns Club Day with like fucking Todd Waters was racing, fucking Jats was racing, Wade, Mitch Evans, like all those dudes, and I was on a fucking TTR 125.
They were probably looking at you thinking, who's this?
Oh,
douchebag.
I was the biggest fucking goon of all time, bro. And then I saved up and I bought a 01 CR125, and bro, that bike scared the fuck out of me. Like it used to get
those old Hondas are just a light switch. They're either on or they just not like off.
Like dude, it had wood in for bar ends, like a broomstick. Dad fucking hit a broomstick for wood in the bar ends, and there was
does your dad come from bikes or no? Obviously not.
Nah, yeah,
like,
he did. Yeah, he raced.
Oh, okay.
Like he raced back in the day with like Jeff Lee, Peter Melton, like all that shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Dad was like, dude, that's why I run 45, because we've got this photo of Dad racing a Supercross at Lang Park in Brisbane with 45 on his bike. So he was like fucking good. We just couldn't afford bikes when we were younger. Like it wasn't until I got a job that I was able to buy my own bike, and like Dad got us that TTR. But yeah, we played footy, did like BMX, we did fucking athletics, like we did everything but moto. But me and Maddie were fully obsessed with moto.
See, it's so funny because like my dad we didn't come from bikes, so they were driving home one day and saw a QR50 on the side of the road and bought it. And then that's how we got into bikes. That's
crazy.
He knew nothing. So like it got to a point where when I turned senior, and it was about 16, I started to realize that my dad didn't know what he was doing with motorbikes. Yeah. And then that's when I started like, okay, I'm going to start doing the maintenance on these things. Like I remember at a club day in it would have been like '04 or something like that. And I was on an 85 and a whole shot, and I got all the way out the back of the track, and the bike just went ball and stopped. And then it started, and then I got all the way to where everyone was at the front of the track, and it stopped again. And Dad comes out and takes the seat off and takes the plastic bag off the air filter, and I'm just like, oh my god, fucking!
This
he
is
just
on
didn't.
Me now.
Yeah. So it's so funny because we don't come from bikes. It's not like I had Dad sort of pushing hard
you to do it. Yeah.
He was just kind of like, well, if you want to keep doing it, I'm going to support you. And I think a lot of the time it was Mum behind the scenes making him pay to keep racing, because Dad was probably like, this is a bit ridiculous. But because I enjoyed it so much, Mum was sort of the driving force of making us continue doing it. Because when you really think about how much money through amateurs or juniors that it adds up to be over the years, it's astronomical.
Yeah, it is wild.
If you think dude, and that's just been at a little Australian level where I was still going to school. I still finished school, obviously. Dad sort of just had a normal job. Whereas over here, it's just there's professional kids at 12. And that's what you have to be now. Unless you're some type of freak, you have to be that in that training facility, or they're basically just businesses now. The kids are the ones that are sort of, they're making money and doing all that. Whereas coming from Australia, and it's not like that at all. And I think people don't understand, you'll have a good junior in Australia and they're like, we'll keep working and making it. And that's like, no, you have to understand that you need to be doing this.
Yeah.
Because there's people in the world that are full-time trainers doing it like this. And those are the ones that are making it to, anyone can be sort of like me and make it to Supercross and race. But to be that factory next level, it's a different world.
You're in a different game, eh?
Yeah.
Well, for us, I think the reason why, I don't even think I've ever told this story on the podcast, but we were, Dad was keen for me to ride. So when we grew up, Dad was he was riding Cape York and he had XR 600s, and so he stopped racing, but he was always riding and always had bikes. And then so it was we'll ride and the kids can ride or whatever. And then I actually fucking had this massive crash on a 50. We were just at a grass field, kind of like a meetup. It wasn't a race or anything. A dude opened a car door as he parked right next to the track and opened up a car door as I come past. And I what? Yeah, because it was just, we were riding in a field, you know? And so I've come around this corner. I'm 5 years old, barely could fucking ride. The old mate just swings his door open, and I've T-boned this car basically. And I can't believe I've never even fucking told this story on here. But I perforated my bowel. So the handlebars went through my fucking guts, and I perforated my bowel. And so anyway, it obviously was a fucking huge problem. They took me to hospital, and yeah, I ended up having emergency surgery. I still got this huge scar all down my guts. Yeah, I almost fucking died. And so they had to remove a bunch of my intestines and shit. And then so that was it. Moto was clipped forever for that. So Mum, Dad, pretty much he had this massive accident. He actually hit a cow up in Cape York. There was a cow just got out of a fence. So he was fucking wedged on a 650 and smoked this cow, broke his elbow, fucked himself up. And so then that was it. Mum was like, it's over. Bikes in this house are fully done. But it was over for me. I was already hooked, you know?
Yeah.
And so then for literally, dude, for the rest of my life, until I was 14, I got a job when I could buy my own bike. That was all I wanted to do was bikes. And it's funny, I think about it now. I wonder, I don't reckon I ever would have been good enough to race. Maddie was real good, but I wonder if just that, being so obsessed with it and never being able to do it, that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, you know? Because the passion stayed so fucking strong. I remember when like a few weeks ago, Jose from Alpinestars, he sent me like the Sexton gear, like when that Michael Jordan shit came out. I just had a package rock up and I had like the boots, both sets of gear, like my name, like full from, like the package came from Italy. And I just texted him. I was like, bro, if you had any idea the kid that I was, like I read every single like Racer X magazine, every single Trans World, didn't even own a fucking bike. Like I was a full on freak for it, eh?
It's funny like that. Like for me, it was just everything from as long as I remember. It just revolved around bikes. Like even with the school stuff, I would just sit in class and just draw up Supercross tracks. That's what I do. I remember we were sitting at a table. I'm meant to be doing homework or whatever, and I'm sitting there and Dad was yelling at me, and my sister came up and was like, "What are you yelling for? He's doing the work." And then Dad pulls up the piece of paper and he's like, "He's not fucking doing the work. He's bloody designing a Supercross track." But I hated school. Like just absolutely with everything in me. Just the last year was just so pointless in being there. But my parents,
you kind of got to do your 12.
Yeah, but see, for me, I'm kind of still like, well, what? I didn't need to. Like, I'm sure maybe when I have to get a real life in the next few years that it may come, but I'm still kind of thinking, well, I didn't need to do school. Like in the last year, my mum was doing the majority of the work.
Yeah, you were just trying to get it done.
Yeah, I was in the accelerated class and I had skipped the year. I went from year 9 to 11 so that I could sort of just finish early. And in the end, like, I remember my mum, like we would have, like with English, because English was mandatory, you would get like an essay topic they would give you, and then you had to send you home and write up an essay. In the end, Mum was just doing that for me, and she would hand it to me and goes, "Make sure you read this," and then I just wouldn't. I'd hand it in, and my mum was that fucking good at English that one of the times I remember the essay that I handed it in, it was so good that there was 4 year 12 classes in the school, and we all had to break down and study my English essay because it was that good. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll be breaking down this English essay with everyone else. Dude, there was words in it that I didn't even know what they meant. But it was like all that type of stuff. Like in the end, I was just like, well, why are we doing this? I'm just going to be a rider. And it must have been so tough for my parents because I wasn't like a superstar rider. Yeah. But in my head, I'm like, well, fuck, why wouldn't I do that? But yeah, it just got to the point with the school stuff. Like I remember I had to take geography, and each month you'd have to do like a PowerPoint presentation, and Mum would do the PowerPoint presentation and give me the USB and say, make sure you look over this. And I would be presenting it to the class and looking at it the first time that she was like, as everyone else in the class, good. And I honestly hated school. In the end, I would steal. We had like a coin jar at home, and I would steal gold coins out. I was paying a dude at school $15 a week to just copy his homework and stuff for maths because I just hated it, and I just always thought I'm just gonna ride. Like what else? And then once I had finished school, it was tough because I obviously wasn't a good enough rider to be on a team or anything like that. So Mum and Dad were like, well, you need to go get a job. Yeah. And there was no way that I was gonna work for Dad. I worked for him a little bit here and there at that time, but like I just didn't think that, like, it just didn't interest me because he's a builder and that. So I ended up working at Urives. Didn't even get paid. I just was scrubbing floors and like cleaning the truck for the sort of from 2010 to about 2011. I just worked for Urive. And it was like probably a couple of days a week, but then they would sort of call me and I'd do more than because they'd need me. And do you remember, like, have you ever met like Brad McAlpine, who's at Yeah. I worked for him when he was the manager.
What year was this? 2009.
2010, 11. Okay. So yeah, like I would just work there, and then Brad was always good. Like he would hand me.
He's such a good dude. He's such a good dude. Or something. So, but Mum and Dad were just like, you can't just not work. You've got to work. So
I just ended up working for free for Konski, and then that sort of snowballed the relationship with Konski and sort of mates with him now. But it's just funny how like I would have never at that stage thought I would be able to get to America. It just took so long to get here. I had to be like an adult and be able to save up and do all that. And obviously I've had the support of my parents the whole way through because there was no possible way. But my parents were really good with, we're going to support you with whatever you do. But to be able to get over here and race, it was like, well, that's not something that's like, for me to be able to get here, I had to save up the money to be able to spend it to set myself up. Like, obviously, my dad's still helping me now, but that initial setup, I don't think people realize how much it actually costs to, like, you come over here and you've got nothing. Like, you don't have the van, you don't have like a ramp to even put your bike in the van, all that stuff. So that initial setup, and I think Malross sort of was talking about it coming over this year. He's sort of set up now so that he can come back next year. Crap.
Yeah.
Because it is so, like, it is a lot of money to when you initially come over. And the living situation, it's just, you've got to find somewhere to live and all that stuff. And everything costs money. Whereas when you're back home, you've sort of got the support of parents. You can always sort of go back and live there. And
you got like a safety net.
Yeah, whereas when you're just over here by yourself, you're like, well, shit, fucking got to figure this out somehow.
It's so cool that you just had that desire to race in America for so long, and you just did. You just made it happen.
Well, the thing, like I said, like earlier, like the whole, like, I know COVID was horrible for everyone and that, but for me it was like the best thing because I had gotten hurt in the end of 2018. In the end of 2017, I had to have this, like, my right shoulder reconstructed, and then I came back and it took forever. Like, I don't know if there was nerve or problem or something, and it took forever. So I missed even the start of Supercross in 2018 in Australia, and I ended up coming back for one event and I broke my left shoulder really badly. So I was at that point I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. I'm just too hurt and all that. So while I was kind of like depressed on that, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get some tattoos. So I always had wanted this one dude in America to do the tattoos. So I just called up one day and just called up the studio that he was working at and like booked appointments. And I was just in Australia. I'm like, well, I'll book these appointments. And at the time, I think it was 9 months out because he was like quite a popular tattooist. And it kind of just, I had started writing just before then. But it made me sort of come over here because I had to sort of have an excuse to come to America because I had the van sitting here for a couple of years and I had a little bit of stuff over here. So the tattoos was almost just an excuse to come over. And I had bought a bike off a friend cheap and started riding over here. And then and I did all the tattoo appointments or whatever, got all that done. But it was more just like an excuse to come over and ride again over here because I thought at that point the racing was done because I'd been hurt for so long. And then I sort of realized, like, shit, I can probably do this. I got my girlfriend at the time, and then I sort of had that excuse to come back after Supercross in 2019, and then it sort of just snowballed. Like, I wasn't ready in 2020 to race Supercross, but then the COVID stuff hit, and it actually gave me time to buy a race bike off Urive that they were selling, and then set up for those COVID races that were at the end of the year in Salt Lake.
Oh, so, yeah.
Then that snowballed to, like, my visa was expiring, and with COVID in Australia, the consulate was shut.
So you just got stuck almost.
I couldn't leave America because then I would have been screwed and wouldn't be able to get back because I couldn't do my visa interview in Australia. So I got an extension and just stayed for 2021 and then 2022. So I've just got to build up this, like, program and then meet people and sort of be able to race here. But that was never really the plan. Like, I always wanted to do that, but just the way it's happened that it's like worked out so perfectly to be able to stay here and race. Whereas I think if COVID and that hadn't happened, I would have tried to race and then come back and race the Supercross in Australia, and then you sort of get stuck there with that because you can't organise racing in two places. And so for me, the COVID stuff just sort of set myself up here and sort of getting stuck. And also I didn't want to go home because I didn't want to get stuck in hotel quarantine and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff, which would have been horrible.
Yeah, it's like it was the one thing that I struggled with when I was there. It's because I was there for like, I mean, there was periods of time where I had like a visa for a long time, but there was also those periods where I didn't, and you'd have to go home and back and forth, and like you just kind of can't get anything going when you're not in the one place for the one time. And then like it's funny on the flip side for me, COVID was when the podcast really started to pop off because I couldn't go anywhere. Like I literally just sat in the studio for 2 years and made shit happen. But it makes so much sense that was probably the thing that really helped you the most.
Well, yeah, because like even like you would understand with the visa and that, to come home when I popped my shoulder out at Parla last year, that was the excuse to, well, I can't ride for a bit. I'll come home and sort my visa out finally. And that whole process still took 4 months.
Yeah.
So, or 3.5 months or whatever it was. So for me, like being from not America, like there's that whole other side of it that makes it really hard as well. Like each time you do a visa, it's like $4,000 or whatever you have to pay. And then that whole process takes time, and like that whole, if you don't have, I often wonder how the Lawrence brothers, I'm sure with the backing they've got and stuff like that, they've got the visas and all that, but it is quite tough to have to organise everything on that side of it as well as the racing side of it to come over here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fucking gnarly to go through. How did you get hooked up with Seven?
Well, so at the time in 2016, I didn't have a sponsor, and my friend over here had a bit of a contact with FXR, and they were the only ones that would pay me bonuses for Australian Supercross. So I wore FXR, and then when I came over here, I was kind of in that limbo of, well, I had support from FXR in Australia, but I didn't really have FXR support here, and I wasn't really getting that much gear, and it was coming into the next season, and I was meant to wear FXR again, and I kind of was like, oh, this is, I don't feel like I'm very wanted.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I went into 7, and I was like, fuck it, I want to wear 7. Like, it's the coolest bloody gear out there. And I went into Roger's office, and he basically said that we just had a shipping container fall off like the ship. We can't help you. And I was like, well, fuck, I don't care. I'm going to wear 7 one way or another. And then it worked out. He actually did help me. And that first year, we didn't really get that much gear. So coming into last year, we got, like, that's the best part of racing. Like, we show up at each event and they give us 2 new sets of gear. And the fact that it's 7 is like the coolest fucking gear ever to me, because it's James and all that stuff. But that's how I just sort of forced him almost to help me. And the smart thing with it is, and I've done this with a couple of companies, is if you look at me, like I busted out this brand new t-shirt today I found, I'm not someone, if you looked at me, I'm not, like, I don't really give too much of a fuck about the look and that. So from the outside in, I don't look like I've got my shit together or anything like that, but I'll just take my missus to meet people, and she's like a hot little 5-foot thing. I get her to put a bra on and push her tits up, and it makes me look like not such a loser. And people want to, dude, I'm sitting here in Jet Pilot shorts that they gave me in 2016, like, but she, like, it makes it look like I'm not such a fucking loser. So if anyone's out there, if you go into a meeting with someone, bring your missus, get her to doll herself up, and it will make, not saying those guys are creepy or anything like that, but it just makes me look like I'm not such a fucking dero.
Oh, that is the fucking best, dude. That is
I've
so
legitimately had a sponsor say in an email, I want to help you. You're a hard-working guy. You seem to be doing it like by yourself and your heart, and you've got a hot missus. That was legitimately in the email from, so...
Oh, that's so fucking good. I love that. Dude, I've had some fucking fun times with Roger. I haven't spoke to him. I actually wonder if he just doesn't like me anymore. But I've had some fucking fun times with that dude, eh?
Really?
So he was at Answer before 7. And when he was at Answer, JDR was at Answer. And like back in the day, Roger used to be at every after party, every pre-party, he was a social guy, that's what I think made him such a cool dude, because he knew literally everybody. He wasn't like a dude that would go out, send it, get fucked up, but he was just always there and he knew everyone. If you needed to know anyone, Roger knew everybody. And so when I went there, I was like the only person from the team that would party.
Yeah.
Because everyone else was all serious and fucking racing. I was just the film guy. So I was like, man, I can film fucking blind. So I used to go out every single night, like every Thursday night, every Friday night, every Saturday night. And me and him just got to be awesome mates, eh? And dude, there was one time and I was a fuck up, like when I was there. I was so useless. And there was one time where I went out and I was with Roger the night before. It used to be FINKE Supercross used to fall on Donnie Emler's birthday every year from FMF. And Lil D's a legend as well. And so the Phoenix after party would always be Lil D's birthday party. And I went out and I was out till all hours. And I literally was like out the front we're out the front, like the party was done. And they were like, it was like me and Roger. And I literally picked up a chick who was getting in a cab. And I was like, I'll come back to yours. I got nowhere to stay. And she was like, okay. Literally, that's how I picked up this chick for the night. And then, so anyway, I've like slept in. I woke up in the morning, had no idea where I was, like just fucking nothing, didn't have any of my shit. And then I ended up getting up, missed all the JDR crew had left and drove back to California because I was just like nowhere to be seen. And so I called Roger and I was like, bro, I need a lift. Like, are you still here? And it was the year that Kevin Windham knocked himself out at Phoenix. So he couldn't fly. And I think he was like in hospital. Yeah, he must have been in hospital or something, because I think we went and picked him up from hospital. So like it was literally my first year in America and I'd been blind at this after party, went home with this chick, and then Roger picked me up in the morning and then picked up Kevin Windham and we drove back to California, and it was like football finals were on that time. And so K-Dub was like, well, we're stopping at Morongo Casino and we're going to watch the Saints play. I'd never even watched a game of football in my life. So I was like 21 or 22 and just had like the best night ever in Phoenix. And then the very next day was with Roger and Kevin Windham watching a game of football. But like, dude,
imagine explaining that, just like Kevin Windham. Yeah, I just drove home with Kevin, partied at a fucking casino. Like, you wouldn't think, like, whenever I go to 7, like, and especially the first few times that I went, because when I first sort of went there, I didn't know if I would speak to Roger or whoever was there. And now when I go, I'll sit in his office and we just bench race or talk shit for like an hour. And I often think, does this dude like want me to leave? Or because I'll just keep sitting, like I'm sitting around this James's freaking gear and the Nike boots and all. And I'm like, who would have thought I'm sitting in? Because you always coming from Australia, you knew who Roger was because he was the dude running shit.
Yeah.
And then it's quite funny now. I try not to overstay my welcome when I'm there, because I could just sit there and like talk shit the whole time. Because he will sit there and talk shit with you. Yeah. But I'm kind of like, surely he's got like a lot of shit to do. He don't need to be sitting down having to deal with talking to me. But it is, having 7 as the gear sponsor it's been one of the coolest things for me, as like coming from back home. And to me, like 7 is the gear company that's like I always sort of had want to be in. Yeah. And now to be able to go to the races and get gear at each race and all that stuff, it's so bloody cool.
Yeah, and it makes a massive difference, I reckon, when you're a privateer to have good looking gear. And it's like there's companies that you can go with that like the gear just doesn't look as good, and then you just look like a random kind of Joe, but you always look good. Even if you're in 17th, Like you've got cool gear, cool helmet, cool boots.
That's like
your
with
bike
the boots.
looks
Like,
cool.
I'll buy the Alpinestar boots because I feel like they look the coolest, and they're also probably the best protection or whatever. But I've always like over here, dude. That's one of the biggest expenses is the boots because.
How many do you go through a year?
This year I bought a set. I actually bought a set in Australia off SJ. SJ has always been like pretty cool to me, and I bought a set through him, and that was probably from October, and I did the off season in that pair, and I've had 3 sets this year that I've got a red set that I'm about to sell because I just put them on MX Locker.
Yeah.
So that's where I'll just sell them, and I try, and if I have like 3 sets for the year, I'll try and sell 2 and then be able to buy 1 set, and then I sort of fork out the money for another set. But that is one thing that I think.
What size
and I'm
are
not
you?
Complaining. Pardon? I'm a size 7.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I'll give you some of mine, but I'm a 10, so they won't fit.
Oh, dude, I wear like an extra small helmet with the biggest cheek pads they have. Like, I used to wear size 9 boots. I don't know what happened. My feet shrunk or something. And dude, if they made a size 6, I would wear a size 6 and then cut the toes out of the booty. Because, like, I don't know, just always size 7 in the boots. And like, I wear youth large gloves, like all that sort of stuff.
So you just like shit small and tight.
Yeah, like the gloves, I stretch them on. And the gloves changed this year, so I had to get a little bit used to them. But yeah, I'll just stretch them on and wear them, and then I never put them in the dryer because I just like everything really small and tight. But it's funny looking back at the earlier races in like the early 2000s to now, the gear is so baggy back in the, like you think the Carmichael and the Fox stuff in like 03, it's so baggy and that, whereas here now it's all tight. Like you look at the TLD stuff and fucking you can see like the imprint of bloody
Barsh's cock.
Yeah. That Moto Memes thing, fucking you can see, whereas back in the day, imagine if he showed up in the early 2000s wearing
with
that.
his cock hanging.
It just booed out of the stadium.
Dude, it's so good. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned Tech 10s. Like that's 100% what I like. I love those boots, and I posted that reaction video to Tomac's crash, and people were like, "Oh well, guess I'm never getting a pair of Tech 10s." And it's like, do you realize that people bust their Achilles fucking jogging?
Yeah, it's so
it's
funny.
It's not
when that
the
stuff
boot,
happens.
bro.
Or whenever like there'll be someone will get knocked out and they
never wearing that helmet.
Never wearing, it's like you go hop in a car and hit a fucking concrete wall at 50 miles an hour, you're gonna get knocked out. Like that's basically what you're doing on a dirt bike sometimes. Like but people just expect, I'm never wearing that helmet.
Oh, dude, I could not believe that. Like Eli Tomac's Tech 10s are not the reason that his Achilles busted. Like people do it.
They're like, I see in comments, those purple Alpinestars, I won't be buying them. Like they're different than the other fucking Alpinestars. Like, all that stuff. Like that's one thing that I don't mind spending. Like the boots, and like I wear the RI helmet, and even when I was on the Wilson Sonder team, we were meant to wear another brand, and we were out at the track in 15 on Easter, and like a rider died, and after that I was just kind of like, I'm wearing a helmet that fits me really well, and that I've been in RI ever since, and I was just buying them back in Australia, and then coming over here I contacted the dude after the first season, and I've been getting a couple of RIs each season. So that's like another thing that I always wanted to be in RIs, and because they fit so well. And I remember Wyndham wearing them back in the day when he was on like Suzuki and all that. So to be wearing RI, that's one of the cool things for me as well with the 7 gear.
Yeah, I did I was an ambassador for Ducati at home for a couple of years, and on one of the bikes they gave me for the year, they gave me an RI helmet to wear with it, and fuck, it was good, dude. It's got like all this special Ducati shit all over it, so like I don't wear it. Like you'd look like you'd look like a kook wearing it on anything other than that bike. And I kind of want to save it, but man, I was actually blown away considering that helmet hasn't changed in like
dude That's one thing
years.
that I often think. Yeah, it's like, oh, it hasn't changed, but it's made in Japan, and it's
So good.
yeah, and I have that problem of I've got a small head, so nothing really fits me that well. So I just get the extra small RI and then put the bigger cheek pads in it, and that's and not changing a helmet. It's just I've had the same helmet now for years, and it's just that's comfortable to me. Whereas when you wearing different stuff, like it doesn't take. It only takes a day or two to get used to. But that's just one thing that's been consistent for me. Is just I've always been an RI for the last sort of since 2015. So.
Yeah, man, the good boots and good helmet, like that's really all I care about. I don't wear knee braces. I don't wear any of that shit. But it's like, yeah, I will wear Tech 10s and I'll wear a good helmet. I've actually been running the Alpinestar's helmet lately.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I like it, eh?
Do you not wear knee braces?
Nah.
Oh, wow. Did you ever wear them?
Yeah, dude, I used to wear them flat out. It was funny, after the Ryno podcast, I stopped wearing them, and then I could never see myself going back to them.
Really? See, I can't see, like, I obviously have never tried, but I can't see myself ever not, like, you know, when you're gripping the bike and do your knees get sore? Do you have knee cups or?
I got a pair of Liat knee pads, but when I moved to Dubai, I packed one. and they don't sell them here, so I just bought like these shitty like little Oakley. Well, they're not shitty, but they're like for mountain biking. They're just like sleeves for your knee. So they're definitely not as good for moto as the Liat ones. I'm actually excited to get back, but I think with the way that I ride now, I grip mostly with my boots.
Oh yeah.
So like do you ride real far back? Well, because I wear like a 3 size bigger boot, and because I'm like on the toes, or like I wear a 10, you wear a 7. So when I'm standing on my toes, and then my foot pegs are like back and down, so I've got 5 mil back, 5 mil down. So I'm like way off the fucking back of the bike. So like, I reckon it hurts your knees if you're trying to grip like directly above the foot pegs almost. But because I'm so like lanky and tall, like I squeeze on the fucking side plates and the muffler pretty much. So I'm like so far back. So it's like on my boots, I don't even really feel it on my knees at all. But I actually feel like I can grip the bike way better without knee pads than with knee pads, than with knee braces.
Yeah, I'm just like stuck in my ways. Like I get with something, and then I'm still running my pods that they gave me in like 2010, like the second version of the.
That's the ones I had.
Yeah, keep getting them rebuilt, and I'm just like, I'm gonna stick with them forever. As long as they keep making parts for them, I'm sticking, because it's just something that's in me that's like, that's what I run, and I don't want to change it.
Yeah, well, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that's like, you know, even. I was talking to Moran's because he's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go on the new 23 KTMs. And it's like, there's kind of nothing wrong with bike. Like, look at the Suzuki. You know, look at what Kenny's doing on that thing. That thing hasn't changed since like 16. I mean, the shit that's come out of factories these days is fucking good, man. Like, you don't want to be running a carby, fair enough. But like a fuel injected, you know, most of the bikes, if it's fuel injected, like a KTM, my KTM in Australia is a 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, and I always say, like, this year, if Tomac had won the series, like, when was the last time someone on a brand new model of bike won the championship in the first year? Like, that would have been, I feel like, a big deal for Yamaha to have won, because there's always that, whether it's almost like, we're companies, they have to keep changing stuff to be able to keep selling bikes, I guess. Yeah. But you're really not, we've gotten to the point now, you're really not making leaps and bounds ahead in technology. And then the teams have to figure it out, and it takes a couple of years to be able to figure it out. So I thought the whole Tomac thing winning was going to be like kind of a big deal. And then it just goes to show you how gnarly the sport is for him to not even crash and just completely fuck himself.
Yeah. Well, I think, you're right. Like, I mean, Honda definitely. Well, dude, how crazy is it that Honda hasn't won a championship for pretty much 20 years?
Yeah, what was it?
It literally is 03. Dude, 20 years since Honda's won a championship. That is crazy.
And they still have the most championships, don't they, or something like that? Like they're
Probably.
Honda back in So for them to not win for 20 years
and still have the most championships.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts because you went through that era of Cowie had Villapoto and Stewart, and then they had Tomac, and it just must be so frustrating for these teams to not be able to. Like, it's not like they're not trying just as hard, and then it's just kind of whoever can snag the
top
rider.
guy.
Yeah, because it just must be so hard to, like, it just shows you how hard it is to win a championship.
Yeah, and it's like, it's the best guy that, there's like a handful of dudes that can win. And in Supercross, you just go through eras, right? Where it's like, and that's why when I posted that video about Denver, there's people like, oh, this isn't the best Supercross season in fucking... Because I said it was like the best Supercross season in my memory. And it's like, the argument would be, was it 06 or 07 with like Carmichael, Stewart and Chad. And it's like, yeah, fair enough. Like, that was pretty cool, but that was expected. You know, like, you kind of knew what you were going to get. Yeah. Whereas this year, like, dude, Tomac got a 7th trying his best. Like, you know what I mean? How gnarly is it when that animal gets 7th?
Yeah, like, what did they end up having? I think 5 with Barsha getting a win.
Yeah.
So
they should have been 6 with AP.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I think, like, I don't even know the guy, and that, like, I felt so sorry for him. I think everyone, I showed up to the track the next day or the Monday or whatever, and everyone was talking about it, and it was just like even all the riders were just sort of heartbroken for the dude to be able to get that close. And then the fact that, I don't know if he got injured or whatever, he hasn't been the same since, and then he did get injured.
Yeah.
It's just got to be mentally, you just think he has to get one. Eventually, he just needs to tick that off. And I'm sure in his mind, he's like, keeps building up, and he thinks he's going to be a championship contender one day. But if he doesn't, that's going to haunt him forever. Because people say, oh, I don't have any regrets, and that. It's like bullshit. Fucking everyone's got some type of regret.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, that was just fucking shit luck. And who else had like a massive moment there as well? Did AC? Oh, AC crashed there, eh? In that same section. Was it?
Well, no. Oh, yeah, he did apparently. Yeah, AC apparently.
Yeah.
But even it was kind of like not the same because he didn't snag an inside foot. But Sexton's crash at Indy was sort of that going on to a step on, and just the ruts got him and he went over the bars. Because that was a big turning point in the season as well, because he really should have capitalised then with Tomac having an off night and getting the 5th or 7th or whatever he did. Yeah. But that's just what made the season sort of interesting, I guess. The fact that Tomac had won 7 races and he only had an 11-point lead.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and Sexton won a race and got docked 7 points.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Yeah.
That was like another thing that, yeah, I mean, it's just so unpredictable. And to have like 3 dudes in it with a chance to win every single weekend. And then as well as that, though, you've got like 3 other guys that could spoil those dudes winning and get in between those guys winning. Like, it was just so unpredictable and so gnarly to be a fan, to just know every single night, like, you just have no idea who's going to win. I think that's what made it so... And you kind of had there's 3 guys that are kind of like there for the championship. But to have those 6 dudes where you're like, man, any one of these guys could show up tonight and just wreck shop.
Well, if you look at the A1 starting line for the main event, nearly everyone in that starting line is a regional Supercross champion.
Yeah, there was like 12 champs or something.
That is unbelievable when you really think about what it takes to get to the 450 class and be a factory
champ.
Dude.
Yeah.
You have to be basically a champion.
Yeah.
So, or have be like McElrath, who has 10 Supercross wins or something ridiculous like that. Or AC wasn't a Supercross champ, but he had nearly the most wins or something, I'm pretty sure. So it's gnarly. That's what makes the sport getting to that 450 class and being a factory rider so gnarly. Can I take a piss before I'll tell you that cool story?
Yeah.
I'll go take a piss.
You know what else was gnarly too? Was Detroit, the main between Kenny and Barsha. Like when Kenny won, did he win in Detroit?
That was Indy.
Sorry. Yeah. That had to be one of the sickest 20-lap races of all time, right? Like, main event, who is going to win this race? Everyone wanted Kenny to win it so much, and everyone wanted Barsha to win it just as much. Like,
it's
that
cool
was
that he got
hectic.
the win. Yeah. It's
So
cool
sick
that
he
Barsha got the win at New Jersey.
Yeah.
It kind of made up because you
And it was him and Roxon.
Yeah. So it was kind of sort of thinking, well, shit, Barsha might not get one this year, even though he was riding amazing and podium like week after week. But to be able to get that win for those guys is so tough when you're going up against Tomac or a Sexton or whatever. So when Roxon, like when he got out to the lead for Indy, I was kind of thinking, he'll probably lead for 10 minutes. And then he kept going, and then he kept getting caught a little bit by Barsha. And that whole main, just the fact that it was so rutty and gnarly. There was mistakes all the time and stuff like that. That's what, when I think the tracks are slower and because that wasn't such a technical, but the ruts made it so technical.
Yeah.
It makes for the racing to be insane. That's, I think, what made the two-stroke so good, because people were making mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like Kenny, when it gets like that, is as good as anyone on a night.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because he got such a late start on the season. In the beginning, he didn't look like he does now. But to think that when was the last time he has been this strong at the end of the year is kind of cool. Like, it would have been interesting to see how he would have gone outdoors on that bike. But I guess we won't know now. But it's still sort of interesting that he's taken that bike and it isn't so much of a factory team, but they've figured it out. And like, to say that he's been on the podium for how many weeks in a row, if you said that at the start of the season, there was a lot of doubters with him being on that program.
Yeah. There's people that doubted that he'd even get a podium, and he's had like four and a race win, and he'll probably podium again this weekend.
Yeah, I've kind of guaranteed, because I haven't got to watch the race yet from the weekend, but he got second and he crashed in the first turn or first lap or something.
He crashed twice in the first lap.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, which it's kind of, I guess it's tough with the moment with everyone out, but it just goes to show you how good those top guys are. And being at elevation, it shows you how actually fit those top guys are as well. Because I feel like I'm fit, like a bust my ass with the training and all that. And I know I'm doing a lot more other things to try and get to the races, and I'm not just focused purely on just the riding. But I was fucking exhausted in that main event. The elevation just shows you how good those and fit those top guys are, because you're basically just tasting blood in your chest the entire time, and you're trying to make choices because you have to, because there's obstacles coming up, and your body's just saying, no, I don't want to fucking lift my leg in that corner type of thing. The elevation coming from Australia, where we don't have that or whatever with racing, it really blows you away how slow your bike is and how much more gnarly it is on fitness wise.
Oh yeah, dude. And to like the brain, like the decisions that you've got to make, and your brain just like not working. Because I think that's one thing that I've noticed anytime that I've like really started riding and trying to do motos, is like, it's not even it's not physically that hard for me. Like, I can get fit enough to do it, but just being able to stay mentally in the game and like have the intensity. Like last night I got depressed and I watched Millville 450 Moto 2 from last year just to get a bit of Tomac because I was so sad.
Oh,
and like the fucking dude, the intensity that dude can ride at, like just sprint speed they sprinted for him and Sexton last year for Moto 2. Sprinted for 35 minutes. And I'm like,
I don't know how they ride the 450s like that. We were out at Hemet before the season, and like the Star guys had hired it or whatever, and I got to go out there because I I know Ricky, the suspension guy.
Gilmore.
So I went out and I paid
Such a legend.
Star to get out on there. And Tomac was doing a moto and we were watching him, and he's literally riding the 450 like it's a fucking 85 and just clutch. And I'm just like, how strong is this dude? Like, how can he ride like that? And those guys are doing that. And then you take that outdoors and doing it for 35 minutes on a rough, gnarly outdoor track. The level of fitness that they have to have, and it's got to be somewhat their talent to be able to perform and do those things and not use all the energy that you are, because I still don't understand some of the times how they're so amazing on dirt bikes over here.
Yeah, and just the intensity to like... So I did that one lap the other day where I was like, I'm going to put me fucking nuts and my chips all in a pile here, and I'm going to like have a go. I couldn't have done that for more than that lap. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not even physically, it's mentally. Like, I needed a break. Like, I couldn't concentrate, you know? And like, to be at that level and to have, like, I actually don't understand the intensity, like the way they can bring that intensity to the track. Like, so Formula One, for example, it's like you've got to be a machine. Like, there's some crazy shit like, I think it's Jeddah, I can't. There's one street circuit, but I text Danny last year and I was like, bro, are you fucking serious? Like, they're in this wall, like tiny wall, and it's nighttime, like, because they got the camera that goes in the helmet and you can actually see. I'm like, bro, that's not okay. Like, what you're doing is not cool. I'm like, does it feel fucked? And he's like, oh, this is one track where it feels pretty fucked. So they're sending it, right? And it's crazy, tight, gnarly, like, what they're doing is on some shit as well. But it's like the same braking markers. It's the same turn in. It's the gears, like everything is the same. Like you've got to be like in a slot, in a window, locked in. You can't make a mistake. Like, that's different to just be like, like just doing what Tomac and like what he does outdoors especially is just fucked.
like going back and watching the old races where they just like goes into beast mode and just comes through the pack. And I just wonder, it almost makes you think that their level is so high, but it also, when you take a step back, he is human in some way, because he can't do that every time. He can't do that every time. Yeah. But when they do, like those guys do it, it's just like, how the hell? And I always thought, like, when I started mountain biking, it shows you, because you're like separated from the like a motor and all that type of stuff. I would make a mistake on a mountain bike when my heart rate's in the 180s or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would be like the stupidest little mistake, but your brain's trying to think of like and move and all this type of stuff, but you're trying to do that while you're affected by the heart rate being so high. And that's why I think sometimes you see stupid crashes on like dirt bikes at the races, and that's why. So like, you're trying to make decisions when your heart rate is just so high.
Jacked.
Yeah. So I think that sort of explains why mistakes do happen in dirt bikes. Because sometimes you're just like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, but I look at like that moto, for anyone that wants to know why I'm just carrying on like a dickhead, like literally just go and watch Millville Moto 2 2023 and just watch what Eli was doing. Like, you know, you got the right-hander before the finish line at Millville, then they got the finish line tabletop. Yeah. Like, he's coming out of that corner on a 450, and the thing's like almost loop it. Like, it's wedged, like as fast as that bike will go, and he's like on the back wheel. Like, it's like the thing wants to rip his face off, and it doesn't phase him at all. Like, he's just chilling, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's what I don't understand. Like, if I even get to that level on a 450, like, I'm actually scared.
It'd be cool to be able to like just get strapped onto the back of the right and see the speed that they can do outdoors and stuff. Because I would always make my dad, after the nationals back home, we'd stay and would walk the track afterwards just to show him
like how gnarly it was. Yeah.
Because you can't really tell unless you're out there. But the national tracks get absolutely obliterated, and they're just. I guess it comes down to the same thing as in Supercross when the whoops get blown apart and those guys are still just skimming straight across the top. Like, it's the same with outdoors. When it gets rough and gnarly, those guys just continue that beast mode speed, and it's just like, how the hell are they riding through a section like that fast?
Yeah, that's one of the wild things about Supercross and motocross as well. Like, you can go tandem in an F1 car, you can go tandem in a V8 supercar. I've been on the back of a bike with Jack Miller, and that actually fucked me up. Like, that was just the same shit, like how you'd look at Tomac and go like, that's unbelievable. It's just different on a MotoGP bike. Like, it's hard to comprehend in the same, because it looks so smooth. It's so fluid. But yeah, that was like, I wasn't even scared. Like, it was so, like, I went past scared. But yeah, it's just like what those guys do is just super fun, like superhuman.
Nah, yeah. Like, I often think that coming from Australia, whenever you're on a track back home and you've got like a Ferris or one of the top guys in Australia and they're riding, and you look and you think, well, there's no possible way you could go faster. Any track I've ever been to, there's 3 seconds you could pull out of that, because that's what the top guys here would do. They would legitimately go 3 seconds lap quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fucking crazy. So are you going to race the 450 class this weekend?
That's the plan, just because I think with the shootout, like I wouldn't be top 20 in times.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you have to be to make even the night show. So I'd be going all the way to Salt Lake and not making any like start money. So I was thinking that I'll do the 450 class just as almost like a bit of an experiment for next year. I'd love to be able to do some of the East Coast races in the 450 class, and then just to continue racing. And then also there's that pulp race that happened on the weekend. So it would be cool to, if that is my last season next year, to be able to get into that race and do that. But that's all sort of like hoping that I can do that next year if I can afford to get to some of the East Coast races. But I just thought it'd be a cool little thing to do, see how I go this weekend in the 450 class. Probably not ideal because it's at Salt Lake and the elevation's going to make the bike slow. But we'll see. We'll see how we go. A bit of fun and do the last round, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that. Like I said earlier, I was meant to go to China, and then that just got postponed. And then there was... I like one of my good friends here, he's dealing with there's apparently an Indian Supercross series. Yeah, so I'm hoping that if that series happens with my mate being somewhat a little bit involved with it, I can get onto that. But that, I honestly have no information on that series or anything like that. But I'm not sure what I do this summer over here, whether I come home and work for a few months and then come back here and get ready for another Supercross series. But I basically just have to try and sell all my bikes after Salt Lake and start organising next year if I'm going to make it happen. Because that's one thing people keep asking, if I'm going to come back and race in Australia for the Supercross series. And the only way I could see that would work is if I got on a team in Australia, because I can't organise everything in America and organise it all in Australia, because for one, it's too much money, and two, just the timeline of trying to have you can't just land in America in December and think, fuck, I've got everything sorted to go racing. So that, I would like to come back and do the Aussie series, but I just got to sort of wait and see what happens with that, because my main priority would be to try and race here again next year. Yeah,
Definitely. Who else helps you out that's worth talking about?
So apart from like 7, whenever I've had 7 on the bike at the races as my main logo, that's basically the rounds that I don't have anyone helping me, and I just have 7 on the bike because it's a cool sponsor, and they've really been really good to me. The other sponsors I've had, like this year I had SKDA on the side of the bike, just because they've been so awesome with just supplying graphics whenever I want. I've been a pain in the ass to the rep I use is Aki Rush. He's the designer, and I'm always emailing him really late to try and get something done, and he's been really good. But I've had a car mechanic in Temecula that, like, I've got a pretty old van over here, and it's awesome, but with the amount of miles you do getting to the races, you see, even just the oil changes and that add up. And Lee at Automotive Specialties in Temecula, last week he just replaced a radiator. Like before the season, I'd been driving around with a cracked windscreen for like a year, and he replaced that. He's balanced the tires on the car. I've got to go in actually tomorrow afternoon because the car's wobbling a little bit after the drive from Denver, so he's going to fix it. So he gave me $1,500 before the season, and he's basically kept my van on the road. So he's been a massive support for me. And really, I've got Lucas Burton back home. He's a real estate agent that has been really successful with that. I used to live with Sam Martin. I don't know if you remember Sam.
Yeah.
So I used to live with, and he used to help Sam. So I just sort of met Lucas through that, and he's paid my entries this year.
Sick.
Which has been a big help. And then I'm probably forgetting some people. Like, the other one is One Up Van Conversion. So that's my English friend that lives in Temecula, and he has been giving me a little bit of gas money at each of the races. I had him on the bike for Glendale. He helped out there. And he used to come to the races with me, him and his partner Joe, who own the business, but they're just so pumped now with like doing the van conversion stuff for the like moto that he can't really have the time to come to the races, but he's still been helping me money wise with a few things here and there, which has been awesome. But apart from that, it's just me. So like in the off season last year, I went home, and because I had to do the visa stuff, I just worked nearly every day for my mate Tim Var, who used to be back in Australia. So he's the maintenance manager at Laurent, and Laurent back home do all the bread for like Coles and all that sort of stuff. So whenever I go back home, I can just hop straight into working there, and it's just in mechanical maintenance. So it's just fixing conveyor belts, like taking covers off machines for the cleaners to come in, like taking all the big industrial ovens and cleaning those and stuff like that. So because there's a group of moto dudes that are working there under Tim, it's pretty cool to go and work, and you do the long hours. It's like usually 6 till 6, but when I was there, like I try and stay a little bit later, or whenever Tim needs someone to help with that, on a shut, we'll just, like a couple of times we just did like 16 hours straight of work, because for me it was just pulling up the money to come and race here. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in the next sort of few months. If some of the races don't come up, I might head home and do a bit of work there and just try and pull up a bit of money for next year. But otherwise, I've got a friend here that I do coaching for, and that sort of ticks me along, paying my rent and stuff like that. But apart from that, I'm trying to think if I've got anyone else that's really helping me. Like obviously I get goggles and stuff from X Brand and that, but on the money side of things, I'm sure I might be forgetting someone, but I really don't have anyone else that's sort of helping. It's just me that I've saved up through the years of working back home and other things. And then when I've sort of just been recycling the same money with the bikes for the last few years to keep me going. And then like, I'm not afraid to admit, like the grocery side of things during the week, my dad still helps me. But once the season starts, I've paid this year. I've been able to pay for everything. So before the season, I used all the money I made in Australia to pay for motors to be built. And now that the racing has, like the prize purse this year has gone up quite a bit. Like last year, I was making only like $700 for a night show, and like last weekend in Denver, I would have made $2,000 for the main event. So
that's all right.
All my gas in the van to get to the races, all the motors, all the stuff that I need to have paid for, I've paid for myself out of the cash that I had made in Australia and also from the races now. So the hard part is to get through the off season without spending all my money and get to the first round, because once you get to the first round, I'll have the sponsors that give me a little bit of money and also the prize purse, and that sort of keeps me ticking along and gets me through pretty good. But in saying that, you do have to cut the corners and like sleep in the van when you can and stuff like that to make it work. But honestly, I came over here with probably about $20,000 from working back home last year, and I've probably got, after this weekend, I'll probably have $7,000 left. So I'm still doing not too bad. But we had like this off season, it was a little bit of an interesting off season because
Yeah, tell us the story.
so I had like saved up my money and I bought the bikes or whatever, and it was just like a normal day back. It was in November, middle of November, and I got up at 6 like normal, hopped on the cycle, and then it was probably about 10 to 7, and I was in my little bunk room just on my foam roller, just stretching for the day, and Lucy was in the kitchen making me breakfast, and we heard like a little bit of commotion outside, like, and I was going, what the fuck's that? And I popped my head out, and we just see like there was a full-on like SWAT team of police on the property, and we were kind of like, oh fuck, this is finally sort of happening. And so I'll try and say as much as I can. I don't want to blow anyone out or anything like that, but where I was living, trying to do it as cheap as I can, I live in basically like a little shack on a property, and on that property there was like illegal sort of activity on the property that was nothing to do with me, but there was there, and sort of like I knew it was there, but it was nothing to do with us. Like we honestly had nothing to do with it. But I guess when you're on that property and a raid happens, you get involved with it. So I'm just on the fucking foam roller, and they have the rams to ram the doors open, and that like a big Mexican dude, like probably like 300 pounds or more, he came and held me at gunpoint and threw me on the ground. And then another officer came in the other door, and my girlfriend was like, I don't know what to do, because he had the gun pointed at her. And then he's like, just stand up against the wall and put your hands behind your head. Or hands behind you. So we both got like put in handcuffs, taken outside. And as I'm being taken outside, we get put and just sat on a little sleeper outside. And I look up and there's a chopper really low. And I'm just like, is that with you guys? And the officer was like, yep. I'm like, holy fuck. I look around and there's probably about 20 to 30 police cars. And we're sitting down on the sleeper outside, and I look over to my girlfriend. I'm like, this is interesting, isn't it? Like, you wouldn't think, like, going back to talking about if your chick's ride or die for you or not. She's just sitting there in handcuffs, and I'm like, well, fuck, this is not ideal for both of us, is it? So they came on the property and they like searched my house, because they obviously had to search all the buildings on the property, and which was good, because I was kind of like, go ahead, search, because it will prove that I know nothing about anything and don't have anything to do with this. So as soon as I got taken outside in the handcuffs, I told the officer, which I didn't know I had told when I had to go through all this again, but I said to the officer, I've got $7,100 in my underwear drawer, because just by chance I had sold a bike the night before. Like, I'd been trying to sell one of my gases for months, and I finally just sold it. And I had $7,100 in my underwear drawer. And when the search happens, they legit just upend your whole fucking life. Like, everything I owned was on the floor. Like, they were just walking over it, everything like that. And so that happened about 10 to 7 in the morning when we first got detained, and they took the handcuffs off us about 40 minutes in, and we just sat there with one of the officers while the search happened. And when we finally got told, you just have to get off the property or we have to take you to jail, my girlfriend got escorted in by one of the officers to get her handbag so that she could go to work, and I got escorted in to get some clothes to go to the gym. And when I seen that, like, went in, I seen that my money was gone. And I said to the officer, they've taken my money. How do I go about getting it back? And he said, you're going to have to go to court. And obviously I was in no position to argue at that point. So I just was like, yep, we got off the property. And the next day I rode at Parlour. And after riding at Parlour, I went to the sheriff's department. I had the warrant that they had left. I had the bill of sale for the bike, and I could prove everything was legit. And I went to reception and then like sat down, and the main dude from the raid came out, and he's like, what's up? And I'm kind of like, well, I've got to go about the process of trying to get my money back. And he goes, we didn't take anything. And I'm like, well, so he he goes, go back to the property now, search the house. When you find the money, here's my number. Text me. And like going back through all this, the police were actually really good to me. The main people in charge were awesome. I've got no, like, I'm not saying anything about police officers and anything like that. It was actually really good. But I went back, cleaned my whole house, because at that time, like, I'd been back that night before, but the power had been switched off because it was a crime scene, I guess. So I went back, searched the whole house. There's no money. So I text him. He texts me. He goes, can I call you? And I'm like, and before I'd even answered, he called me. And he goes, can you be on the property in 30 minutes? I'm like, yep. So a dude above him and another guy came out and searched my, like, shack again. And they were like, well, fuck, there's no money here now. Like, we've got to do something about this. And it turns out one of the sheriffs stole $7,000 out of my underwear drawer. And that was like the money at the time that I had to keep going through the off season. So that made the off season super hard this year. And because there was no power, we were just lucky that we got to stay at my girlfriend's grandma's apartment down in Oceanside now. So we've just been doing that, but I can't work on any of my bikes at her place. So I've still been working on my bikes at the property, but there's still no power on at the moment. So during the off season, when it was in the winter, like, it starts to get dark at 4:30. So I'm trying to do my fucking bike work and graphics and all that. And all I had at the property was a generator. So I'm sitting there with my heat gun doing the graphics, and it starts raining off. And one of the days I was like, fuck this. I'm sick of wasting all this gas money driving down to Oceanside at the end of the day. I'm just going to stay at the property with no power. And I'd been to the gym and all that. And I was like, I have to shower. And I forgot to shower at the gym. And I just stood in the shower and I put a bottle of water over the soap bar and I soaked myself up. And then I got a couple of, and it's fucking winter, so I'm freezing cold. And I literally said to myself, I'm like, if this is what I got to do to race Supercross, this is what I'm fucking doing. And so it took the week before the season, I think it was, the county actually ended up paying me out. So
really?
Yeah, so I got my money back, but I had to go do like a whole 2-hour interrogation with a detective who was put on the case of my money. And basically, he was really good. He'd been on the force for like 27 years or something like that. And he said to me when he called me after a while, he's like, I'm kind of pissed off about this whole thing because I don't have too many unsolved cases. And he went through every officer on the raid and interviewed them and said, asked them 3 questions. He told me, he said, asked them, did you see the money? He goes, did you see the money? There was one other question or whatever. And then if someone was to take the money, who would have taken the money? And every officer basically said this one officer. And since that raid, that officer had been on a medical leave and he was trying to get a medical retirement. So basically he just explained to me, he goes, he's a dodgy cop. And we like, sometimes you get dodgy cops and you can't do anything about that. And he goes, but we don't have any evidence to show that he actually had taken the money. But I had like an Australian $20 note. I had kept like a $50 American note that I thought was cool because it was old. It was 1973. So I knew exactly what I had there. And I had the bill of sale and everything to be able to prove it. I had the messages printed off when I went from the sale.
Oh, and because it was the night before, you can't get rid of $7,000 like in that short of a period of time. Yeah.
So
fuck, you got lucky, bro.
Oh, dude, even just when we were sitting in the handcuffs, like, I couldn't give a fuck about the money at that point because it was like, well, I didn't know the money was taken at that point, but I was worried for my girlfriend who, if she got a record, she couldn't come to
Australia. Yeah, you would have got sent
home. And if I got
home.
a record, and I just said to the officers, is this going to affect my visa? And he's like, who gives a fuck, man? Biden lets anyone in. And I'm like, dude, I need to be able to get in and out of America. I'm not trying to, it was pretty stressful, the whole thing. But it all worked itself out in the end. And we still don't have power there at the property, but it should be getting sorted soon. And because it's a tough position because to rent anywhere or that is so expensive. Where I was there, I was paying quite little rent, and that's how I was able to sort of be here and stay. And if I was to have a house, like some houses are like $2,000 or $2,500 to be here or have a room, but you've got so much shit with your bike stuff to have just a room somewhere is too hard. So we've been very lucky that we've had my girlfriend's grandma's just to stay there, and I've been paying rent there. But it's made the whole season so fucked, and I'm just kind of like trying to get through the season and then rebuild and get back to living normal and stuff like that, because it honestly has been kind of fucked this year. Like even just going to the car wash to spend to wash the bike after each day, and that I've spent a fortune with that stuff. But it's just a funny story. Like I had to call my dad back home because we got released at about, they said like you can leave at 11 a.m. So I think it was about 5 a.m. back home, and I called Dad. I'm like, wake the fuck up. And he was kind of, what was that? And I'm like, wake up. We were just in a freaking drug raid. And it's stuff like people can be angry and say, well, if you knew what was going on that property, then you shouldn't have been there. But when you can't pay rent to be somewhere and don't have the money to do that, it's like that's how I was being able to afford to be here and race and all that. I was only paying a small amount of rent, and it was fine for me. Like my shack is perfect, but you can't have, if you run the microwave, you can't have any other appliances. So it was kind of all like that, but it was perfect just for me and my girlfriend to live together. I had all my bike stuff and that, but we weren't really expecting to be raided and be involved with something like that. But I will tell you, sitting there and knowing that I wasn't involved in any way was really nice, because it was like, go ahead, fucking search, go ahead. And the cops, all the main like cops and sheriffs that I had to deal with were really cool to me. Like a lot of them, when I seen, like they had like dirt bike shirts on when I had met them in private and stuff like that. So they were all really cool. But it was just an unfortunate situation to be in.
Dude, what a crazy season, eh?
Yeah. So, but it was kind of like tough, because I was like, do I bring this up with people that you were involved in a drug raid, and like people find it hard to believe if you're living on that property you weren't involved, but we honestly weren't involved in any way, but we just sort of got caught up in the whole thing, and it just made the off season and this season pretty tough.
Fuck, I can't believe it, eh? That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's just a funny story at the end of the day, I guess. But it would just be one of them things look back on, like we still went racing, but we were involved in a drug raid during the off season.
And that dirty cop stole your money.
Yeah, like I wonder how often that happens.
Bro, all the time, I reckon.
Because they would have thought
they don't get
it's
paid
just drug
fuck
money.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, the officer would have just thought just drug money. No, because no one's ever going to go into a sheriff's department that's been in a drug raid and say,
like, "Can I have my
I've got
money
a bill
back?"
of sale. Exactly. Yeah. So I think they realised that it was kind of a bad situation, and I just sort of accepted the fact that I wasn't going to get my money back at one point, and I was fine with that as long as we didn't get in trouble, because all I really cared was I just didn't want to get in trouble, because I didn't want it to affect my living situation with my girlfriend and stuff like that. But even with getting the money back, it was so strange, the whole thing. It was like almost like they wanted to keep it off the books, but then I was explained by the detective that it wasn't like, and he showed me the whole process of what happens when money is found on raids and all that. But then the county that I was dealing with that was meant to be sending out the check, he was kind of like, well, if you don't have a social security number in America, it's going to make my job really hard to pay you. But he said, I'll figure it out. And I hadn't heard from the dude in like a month. And then he all of a sudden emailed me and said, do you have like a Australian equivalent of a social security? And I said like a tax file number. And he goes, yeah, that's it. And I said, well, my parents will be awake I don't have that information on me right now. I was wherever. I said, my parents will be awake in an hour. I'll email you that information. And as I got off the phone, I was like, are these motherfuckers trying to tax me on the money that they stole? So I emailed him back. I was like, they're not trying to tax me, are they? And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was just by coincidence or like, because there's a few things that are like this, and I'm like, well, maybe it's just a coincidence. I got an email back straight away. Actually, that just got approved. No worries, you'll be getting your money. So as soon as I questioned it, it was approved. So whether or not that was just a coincidence or not, but I reckon the whole thing, like I said, the police were awesome to deal with, but the circumstance and that, I'm kind of like, what the hell's going on sometimes?
Oh, yeah, that'd all be trying to keep it all hush,
yeah.
hush, I reckon.
Yeah. Because those top guys, I guess, would be really professional. But if you're just one of the low-level cops that have put on the raid, and you
especially and you're
7
already trying to get off like on medical leave and like you're trying to retire and shit, like he would have just been like just trying to get what he could get. He's probably had his own like 401k getting saved up, you know. Yeah,
exactly. So, but for me, it was. Like I remember just going, I'm just a motorbike rider. Like in the moment, like fucking trying to be like, holy fuck, when it got, because I never had a gun pointed at me, and the dude threw me on the ground pretty good. I was kind of half on the couch and half on the ground, but yeah, it was pretty funny to be put in handcuffs and just to look across at my missus and be like, well,
we're here.
This is not how we. And she had to have the officer hold her phone up because her boss was calling, and she was meant to be interviewing some new workers that day to start. So there's people showing up for her and she's not there. So we had to have the sheriff hold her phone while we're in the handcuffs and have her speak to her boss to tell her that we're being detained and all that. So pretty funny.
That is so fucking wild. Well, mate, you've had a hell of a 2023 Supercross fucking season, that's for sure.
Yeah, as bad as it's gone, I know I've only made 2 main events, but hopefully I can get my shit together. And I know the West has been pretty stacked this year, but maybe next year it won't be so deep, and hopefully I get a little bit better and we can have a more of a consistent season where we're sort of in the main event more often.
Yeah. Well, mate, honestly, I've had so much fun doing this podcast with you, and I had a ball seeing the Gypsy Tales on the bike for the weekend, and I think one of the coolest parts of it as well was seeing how pumped like the Gypsy Gang were, you know, like I had so many people message me, so many people were sharing the bike, and like, because you'd already done qualifying and everything while I was still asleep. And so when I woke up and checked my phone, I just had like hundreds of messages, and like so many people had filmed the race day live. And so I think like it just made a lot of people's day, you know, like to not expect to sort of see it. So
it really opened my eyes and made it so like I knew there's sort of people out there that are involved with the sport like that, but it showed me that I really need to do the social media stuff more. Like I know I hate it and I like struggle, you know, to hold the phone up and talk like a wanker and that, but how many people that came up to the pit tent and seen the bike and came to say hello and talk about it, and that it really is something that there is people out there that I think would probably want to watch and have more sort of content or whatever. So I need to be better at that. And like this really did open my eyes to it, and it was a cool experience. So like, thank you for doing it, because I'd never expected, like Lee Diffie on the weekend asked, are you going to do the podcast? And I was like, no, like I'm not expecting to do that at all, but to be able to be here and do it and all that, I'm really thankful. So.
Nah, well, man, honestly, I actually, if anything, I just feel like a piece of shit that we haven't done it sooner, because like already in my head, I'm like, man, I fucking should have been on the bike at A1. Like if I did this, you know, like I wonder how much more, but I think I probably didn't expect how much it would have helped you, you know, like it's, for it to be as cool as what it was. So if anything though, it's just fired me up to help you for next year. So yeah, like definitely we'll just figure out some shit. Like I know I could help out way more than I did this weekend, and even like doing the podcast, like you should have been on here way sooner than what you were. And it's one of those things like when people would say like, oh, you're going to get Banger on, I'm like, yeah, 100%, like of course, but I just fucking, you know, time goes by. So if anything, it made me feel like a bit of a fucking dickhead for not doing it sooner. But we're here now. I'm stoked that you got to do the podcast, and I appreciate you running the kit. And 2024 we'll do some cool shit, I reckon.
Fuck yeah, thank you.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.